Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was reborn as a hero of Universe 6 and 7? The movie. Huge shout out to Kyuubi16 for this story. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Caulifla stood before her mentor, Naruto, fists clenched and teeth gritted. She had been training for weeks, trying to master the transformation that he had promised would change her life forever. She had remembered the words she had spoken when he had made the offer to her. "Do it," she growled. "Show me how to become a Super Saiyan." Naruto nodded, his expression serious. "Remember, Caulifla, this is not just a transformation. It is a symbol of our people's strength and determination. It is a power born from a need and signifies the virtuous path of a warrior. You must respect it." Caulifla nodded, determination burning in her eyes. "I will. Now show me how to do it." Naruto stepped back, watching as Caulifla closed her eyes and focused her energy. She felt a surge of power, the likes of which she had never experienced before. Her muscles tensed, and she gritted her teeth as she tried to push through the barrier that was holding her back. She couldn't keep pushing her power for much longer, and her ki raising faltered as she began to pant and her power taper out. It takes more than raising your power. The power comes from a need, one born from your heart, and unless you're honest with yourself, you won't be able to find that trigger. Naruto lay motionless on the ground, his body battered and broken. Caulifla knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face. Memories flooded her mind, of Naruto training with her, pushing her to be stronger, faster, better. And as they trained together, she couldn't help but notice the way his eyes lit up when she accomplished something new, or the way he laughed when she made a joke. Naruto and Caulifla stood facing each other in a large, open field, ready to begin their training. Naruto was excited to have a new training partner, but Caulifla was hesitant, trying to hide her own excitement. "Alright, Caulifla, let's start with some warm-up exercises," Naruto said, stretching his arms and legs. "Humph, don't act like you're so excited to train with me," Caulifla replied, crossing her arms over her chest. He had more than once rather circles around her and her gang and was a constant source of irritation for her to no end. It wounded her pride to have someone around that she couldn't even compete with power-wise, and it was her indomitable determination to surpass him that made her finally relent and take up his offer to train with him. Naruto grinned. "Oh, I'm definitely excited. You're a powerful warrior, you're one of the handful of Saiyans on this planet with limitless potential, and I'm looking forward to see it become unleashed." Caulifla rolled her eyes but couldn't help feeling a bit flattered. She loosened up a bit and started to follow Naruto's lead. They began with some basic sparring, exchanging blows and blocks, with Naruto trying to get a feel for Caulifla's fighting style. She was fast and agile, making it difficult for him to land a hit with his power suppressed as much as it was, but it proved to be good training to refine his base form and fighting techniques. The stronger one made their base, the stronger their transformations became after all. Caulifla, on the other hand, was trying to hide the fact that she was enjoying the training. She was impressed by Naruto's skills and determination, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for him. She hated him at first, thinking he was a beepy jerk that simply wanted to lord his powers over other, and was faking the goody two-shoes act, but as she spent more time with him, she began to realize he was actually a decent guy. As they continued to train, Naruto noticed that Caulifla was holding back. He called her out on it. "Caulifla, what's going on? You're not fighting at your full strength," Naruto said, his eyes fixed on her. Caulifla blushed, feeling caught. "Nothing. I'm just trying to get a feel for your fighting style," she stuttered. "Raph, what the hell is wrong with me? Stuttering? Ah, damn it, is Kale rubbing off on me more than I'm rubbing off on her?" Naruto wasn't convinced. "Come on, Caulifla. We're here to train and get stronger. I know you want to improve, so you need to give it your all." Caulifla's eyes widened, realizing he was right. She had been holding back because she was worried about making a mistake in front of him, or looking weak if her best after all this time was still nothing compared to the blonde. But that was exactly what training was for. To improve. To become stronger. When it came down to it, she desired it for herself. Not for him. Not for her brother. Not for anyone else. Caulifla wanted to both be strong and free to prove her way of living was just as justified as anyone else's, and she'll be damned if she let her current limits be the best she could do. Taking a deep breath, Caulifla focused her energy and let loose, unleashing her full strength against Naruto. He was caught off guard, but quickly recovered, blocking and dodging her attacks. As they continued to spar, Naruto and Caulifla grew closer, their movements syncing up as they worked together to improve their skills. And though Caulifla continued to act tsundere about it, Naruto could sense a growing bond between them. He knew that they were both getting stronger, both as individuals and as a team. Caulifla, after all, would be a key member in the team he was forming. It was too dangerous to change too many things in Universe 7 before until the events of the cell was over or until he found a safe method of time travel that would bring them to this universe's past without causing split timelines and paradoxes. Such an act might hopefully gain the attention of the Supreme Kai of Time and lead to him becoming a patroller. That was the hero's last wish after all. One that he was driven to accomplish thanks to the man who freed him from what would have been an eternal prison. So how did things turn out so wrong? Things weren't supposed to go this way. And now it was too late. She was too stubborn to admit her feelings. She pushed them down, focused on becoming stronger and proving herself as a warrior. But as Naruto lay dying before her, all those feelings bubbled to the surface, overwhelming her with a sense of loss and regret. "You waste time crying, girl. You'll be joining him soon enough," their enemy cruelly mocked as he began charging ki in his hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered, placing a hand on his chest. "I should have told you how I felt." As she spoke, a surge of power built within her, a power that she had been trying to unlock for weeks. But this time, it was different. This time, it was fueled by her love and sorrow for Naruto. Instead of flashes of their training sessions filling her mind, it was of the quiet and peaceful moments. The moments of peaceful lunches. Of showing up and trying to convince her gang of a better way of life. Of him being able to get past Kale's shell and getting her to open up unlike anyone else could. She now realized it wasn't his power that made him great, but his willingness to open up his heart to others and see the best in others and giving them the chance to be that better person. He saw the best in others. Saw the best in her. Saw that she could be so much better and had faith in her. And in that moment, she realized that she didn't want to live in a world without him. With a primal scream, Caulifla's hair turned a brilliant gold, and she felt a rush of power surge through her body. She stood up, her eyes blazing with determination, and faced the enemy that had killed Naruto. "You will pay for what you've done!" she shouted, charging towards the enemy with renewed vigor. As she fought, she felt Naruto's presence within her, urging her on, reminding her of their bond as warriors and as friends. And in that moment, she realized that she had always loved him, and that his sacrifice had opened her eyes to what was truly important. "I won't let your sacrifice be in vain," she whispered, landing a devastating blow on the enemy. "I'll make you proud, Naruto." And with that, Caulifla stood tall, her golden hair blazing in the sun, a testament to the power of love, loss, and the unbreakable bond between warriors. The battle against Kaguya had taken a dark turn. In an attempt to save his friends and stop Kaguya from destroying the world, Naruto had used a powerful jutsu that had sent him hurtling through space and time. As he disappeared from view, his friends were left to wonder if they would ever see him again. Meanwhile, in another dimension, Naruto found himself surrounded by a strange energy. It was as if the very fabric of reality was warping and twisting around him. He tried to resist, but it was no use. The energy consumed him, pulling him apart at the seams. As the energy dissipated, Naruto found himself standing in a strange new world. The sky was a deep shade of red, and the air was thick with an unfamiliar energy. He looked down at himself, and saw that he was unchanged. But he sensed something was different. He couldn't put his finger on it, but he felt like he was more. As he walked through the strange landscape, he encountered a group of warriors. They were battling a powerful enemy, one that Naruto had never seen before. Without hesitation, he joined the fight, using his ninja skills and his powerful chakra to turn the tide of battle. As the enemy fell before him, Naruto realized something shocking. He was not alone. Another Naruto, identical to him in every way, stood beside him. It was as if his very essence had been split in two, creating two copies of himself. The other Naruto looked just as confused as he felt. They spoke briefly, exchanging names and stories, before the other Naruto disappeared in a burst of light. Naruto was left alone, with a million questions and no answers. But one thing was clear: he was still a ninja. And wherever he was, he would fight for what was right and protect those he cared about. With a fierce determination burning in his heart, Naruto set out to explore this new world and discover what fate had in store for him. As he fought, he sensed a presence nearby. It was a warrior, clad in strange armor and wielding a powerful energy blade. The warrior was gravely injured, and Naruto could sense that his life force was fading fast. With a burst of speed, Naruto rushed to the warrior's side. He asked the warrior if there was anything he could do to help. The warrior looked up at Naruto with tired eyes. "My time has come," he said. "But before I go, I must pass on my memories to you. It's too late for me. All I ask is that you protect this world, the universe, in my stead. I know I committed the greatest sin, interfering with the intended events of another world, and I accept whatever punishment awaits me in death. I can only hope that with the knowledge you gain you can succeed where I failed." Naruto was confused but nodded his head, accepting the warrior's offer. The warrior placed his hand on Naruto's forehead, and suddenly, a flood of memories filled Naruto's mind. He saw battles against powerful foes, near-death experiences, and moments of triumph. He saw the warrior's training, his struggles, and his unwavering determination to protect the timeline of this universe. He became aware of so much more. Of different omnibus. Of the gods. Of alternate realities. Of the dark fate that was destined to befall his timeline, or the alternate fate. Or was it that he was supposed to cease to exist? It was all so burdensome and confusing to understand. As the memories faded, the warrior's life force disappeared. Naruto was left alone with the weight of the warrior's memories on his mind. But he knew what he had to do. He had to honor the warrior's sacrifice and continue fighting for what was right. The vibrant green landscape of Namek stretched out before Naruto, who stood atop a hill overlooking a peaceful Namekian village. It had been a year since he arrived on this distant planet, seeking new experiences and training opportunities. During his time here, he had formed a strong bond with the Namekian people, immersing himself in their culture and honing his skills. As Naruto made his way through the village, he was greeted warmly by the Namekians. Their serene faces and gentle demeanor reminded him of his own village back home. Naruto had come to appreciate the peaceful nature of these alien beings and their deep connection with the planet. Approaching a group of Namekians gathered under a tall tree, Naruto joined their circle. The elder sage spoke with wisdom and authority. "Naruto, it warms my heart to see you so integrated into our community. Your dedication and respect have not gone unnoticed." "Thank you, elder sage. Being here has been an incredible experience. The Namekian way of life has taught me so much about balance and harmony." "Indeed, young one. We strive for unity with nature and each other. We draw strength from the planet itself and seek to maintain peace. Tell me, Naruto, what have you discovered during your time among us?" "Well, elder sage, I've learned the value of patience and endurance. Namekians have this incredible ability to regenerate, and witnessing that firsthand has taught me not to give up, no matter how tough things get." Sage nodded approvingly, his eyes filled with a mix of pride and admiration. "Your journey has only just begun, Naruto. There is much more to learn, and the Namekians are eager to share their knowledge with you." Just then, a young Namekian approached Naruto, his eyes shining with curiosity. Naruto, I've been practicing my techniques. Would you like to spar with me? Naruto grinned, excited at the prospect of testing his skills against a fellow warrior. Sure, Renier. Let's see how much we've both improved. As Naruto and Renier engaged in a friendly sparring match, their movements became a blur of speed and power. They exchanged punches and kicks, their energies intertwining like a dance. Your technique has definitely improved, Renier. You've become faster and more precise. And your adaptability is incredible, Naruto. You've truly embraced our way of life. As their spar came to an end, Naruto and Renier exchanged a respectful bow, both showing mutual appreciation for the growth they had achieved together. Thank you, Renier. Training with you and the other Namekians has pushed me beyond my limits. The honor is ours, Naruto. You have become a true friend and ally to the Namekian people. As the day turned to dusk, Naruto felt a sense of fulfillment. He had not only grown stronger physically but also spiritually. The years spent on Namek had been transformative, shaping him into a more mature and understanding ninja. I will always carry the lessons I've learned here with me, in my heart. Thank you, Elder Sage, Renier, and all the Namekians, for welcoming me into your world. Sage smiled warmly, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. You are always welcome here, Naruto. Remember, the bond between our villages remains strong. As you continue your journey, may you bring peace and harmony wherever you go. With those parting words, Naruto bid farewell to the Namekian village. He knew that his time on Namek had come to an end, but the memories and lessons would stay with him forever. As Naruto embarked on his journey back to his own world, he couldn't help but feel a mix of gratitude and excitement. He had grown immensely during his time on Namek, not just in terms of strength and combat skills, but also in his understanding of the interconnectedness of all beings. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months as Naruto traversed the vastness of space. His mind often wandered back to the serene landscapes of Namek and the peaceful faces of the Namekian people. After his transformative journey on Namek, Naruto found himself aboard his trusty spacecraft, traversing the vastness of space once again. Guided by an ancient star map, he arrived on a distant planet, its landscape unlike anything he had ever seen before. Naruto's spacecraft descended gracefully, landing on the planet's surface. As he stepped out onto the foreign soil, he marveled at the vibrant hues and peculiar flora surrounding him. The air felt different, charged with an otherworldly energy. Suddenly, a group of peculiar beings emerged from the nearby foliage. They had slender, ethereal bodies, shimmering with an iridescent glow. Their large, luminous eyes regarded Naruto with curiosity and gentle warmth. Greetings, I am a friendly traveler, scholar, and warrior. I mean no hostility to your people or planet. He spoke, using universal dialect that he was taught by the Namekians. Being a long-lived and wise sage race, the Namekians had extensive knowledge on many things besides legends. Greetings, traveler from distant lands. We are the Lamari, the guardians of this sacred planet. We sensed your arrival and are honored to welcome you. The alien elder greeted him. Thank you. I have traveled far and wide seeking knowledge and experiences. I wise to learn means and tools to help not only foster peace throughout the universe, but to help those who cannot uplift themselves rise. The Lamari exchanged glances, their radiant presence exuding a sense of serenity and wisdom. Naruto, you have come to our planet at an auspicious time. Our people have long sought an alliance with warriors from different worlds, like yourself. We believe that in unity, we can protect the balance of the universe. Naruto's eyes widened with excitement. The prospect of forging new friendships and alliances resonated deeply within him. Count me in. I've always believed in the power of unity and protecting what's important. How can I help? We are facing a formidable threat, an ancient force that seeks to disrupt the harmony of the cosmos. Together, we can stand against it and safeguard the peace we hold dear. Naruto's determination ignited, his resolve to protect growing stronger than ever. I won't let anyone or anything threaten the balance of the universe. Lead the way, Lamari! As Naruto joined the Lamari in their noble cause, he found himself immersed in their culture, learning their unique techniques and ancient wisdom. Their connection with cosmic energy and their ability to harness it fascinated Naruto, inspiring him to explore new depths of his own abilities. Days turned into weeks, and Naruto and the Lamari forged a bond rooted in trust and shared purpose. Training alongside them, Naruto's skills reached new heights as he incorporated Lamari techniques into his own arsenal. Together, they ventured into the far reaches of the cosmos, facing formidable adversaries and restoring harmony to planets plagued by chaos. Naruto's indomitable spirit and unwavering resolve brought hope to those they encountered, spreading tales of his heroism across the galaxies. Through his encounters with the Lamari and the battles fought side by side, Naruto came to understand that the universe was vast and diverse, teeming with beings of all shapes and sizes, each with their own stories and struggles. As Naruto continued his interstellar journey, he carried with him the teachings of the Lamari and the unshakable belief that unity and understanding could overcome any obstacle. And so, Naruto, the cosmic ninja, ventured forth, his adventures intertwining with the destiny of countless alien species, spreading hope and forging bonds that transcended the boundaries of worlds. Age 753, May 7th. Appearing out of the portal rip, the blonde overlooked the area as he took in the expanse of the area. This is the area where the martial art tournament was occurring. After much thought and decision, he decided that no matter the echoes or change that might occur, only by enacting change as early as possible was going to make for a better future. The platinum blonde shade faded to sports yellow as he began to relax. If the memories he inherited from the traveler was correct, this was around the time of Piccolo Diamo. Some time passed as he began tracking signatures all over the world when he paused in shock as he began to sense something. That can't be possible. This was a power that shouldn't have been tapped into for decades. For a moment it was better that he observed for now to see how things would occur. Observing from afar, he could see that things were playing out how things had happened in the original timeline. Was what happened a fluke? Or was his arrival, the mere presence of the form, really enough to cause that measure of a change? He continued to just watch how things played about. It was so weird to see the Son Goku as a child when he had so many memories of him as an adult. Goku assumes a pose, his hands out, his feet apart, and takes a deep breath. The ground begins to shake. Goku looks to the sky and yells out, his hair once again turning gold, his eyes aqua. He then hangs his head and stares Piccolo dead on. Sorry about that, I'm not quite used to this, Goku says as Piccolo gasps, this is me when I'm angry. Piccolo is helpless as Goku's assault begins, moving at speeds the Demon King can't comprehend, while Naruto watches, dumbstruck. Piccolo is brought to one knee, blood dripping from his mouth. What the hell are you? Piccolo says. He stands, looking down, only to see Goku stand next to him as pull his hands back as blue energy forms around it. Shit, he had to stop this before the timeline was ruined forever. This is for Krillin, you monster! Goku yells as he lets rip a massive Kamehameha, though instead of vaporizing the Demon King, his arm was deflected as the beams surged harmlessly up above, vaporizing some of the clouds before hitting Pilaf's flying base and causing it to explode spectacularly. Before any of them could react, he launched a swift kick to Piccolo's head to render him unconscious. Goku returns to his normal form, collapsing on the ground, while Yajirobe runs over to him. Who are you? Why are you saving that monster? Do you realize what he's done? The peoples he killed. I'm preventing you from making the biggest mistake of your life. The Demon King is connected to Kami, the guardian of the planet. If one dies, so does the other, as their life force is connected. You would have lost your only chance to bring back your friend. Shock and comprehension dawned on Goku's face at what had almost happened. At what he had almost done. Though the sound of something filled the air, drawing their attention. It was that of a plane zeroing in on their position. Yajirobe grabs his katana, but Goku stops him. No, wait, Goku says, it's okay, I know them. They're my friends. I will come and find you at another time, Son Goku. You have much to learn about your transformation and heritage, Naruto said as he went over to the unconscious body of the Team King and picked up. Wait, who are you? How do you know my name? Goku called out, only for the blonde to disappear before his eyes as if he blinked from existence. There was so much going on, and so much he didn't understand. He was so confused and had so many questions, but there wasn't much he could do about it now. He and Yajirobe watched as the plane descends, landing, and out steps Bulma, Rashi, Yamcha, Oolong, Puar, Launch, Kaiatsu, and Tien Shinhan. Goku, you're alive! Oolong says in amazement, while Rashi examines everything. Yeah, I am, Goku says, smiling, but what are you guys doing here? Silly, Bulma says, I made another dragon radar, and we decided to help you out by gathering the rest of the Dragon Balls. We saw 2 here. Goku, it's very important you explained what happened here, Rashi urged. Having experienced Piccolo's power and terror in his youth, he could never forget his ki, even after all those decades. The arrival of an unknown strange third ki that disappeared almost as soon as it arrived had put him on edge. That was when Goku explained the arrival of the strange man and everything he said. This proves foreboding. We have no idea who this stranger is. Friend or foe, we do not know, but one thing for certain, we can't let our guard down. It is now certain that this mysterious power of yours might be the only deter we have against this new possible threat. Even if weakened, this stranger was able to knock out Piccolo with a single kick. Goku, I think it's for the best you pay a visit to Korin. He might have the answers you need on the methods you need to help control this power. Piccolo has proven no match for you, but he and this stranger team up and this could prove troublesome. You let me worry about finding the rest of the Dragon Balls and reviving Krillin. What's a Korin? Yajirobe asks. Yeah, you're right, Goku says, turning around to fly, but he stops. But what about you guys? Rashi looks at Tien and Kaiatsu. My offer's still open if you two want to take it up. I'm honored you would offer me, Rashi, but I'll have to decline, Tien says. We'll find our own way and path to improve ourselves. Yeah, no kidding, Yamcha says. If I want a hope of catching up, I got to refine what I already know. Bye, everyone, Goku says as he flies off. I'll see you all again soon. They all watch as Goku leaves. So, who's this Korin guy? Yajirobe asks. With the Demon Kings sealed away for the time being, Naruto began to get some training underway. First, he activated a compact device on his wrist, which emitted a low hum as it generated a powerful gravitational field. The ground trembled beneath him as the surrounding air grew heavier with each passing second. Naruto had increased the gravity around him to an astounding 150 times Earth's normal force. As he took his first step under the increased gravity, he felt the tremendous pressure pushing down on his entire body. It was as if the very earth itself sought to crush him. Sweat formed on his brow as he began his warm-up routine, a slow, deliberate jog through the thick forest. Every movement was a battle against the relentless gravity. Naruto's muscles burned, and his heart raced as he persevered. Each step was a testament to his unyielding determination, and with every stride, his body adapted to the extreme conditions. A few days passed as the sky began to darken. As he expected, the eternal dragon had been summoned. So far, things were going in the right direction. Finally adjusting to the field, he went on to strength conditioning. He started with one-arm push-ups, his fingers digging into the earth as he lowered and raised his body with a controlled intensity. The ground beneath him cracked with the sheer force of his movements. Switching to a sturdy tree branch, Naruto performed one-arm pull-ups. His muscles bulged with effort as he pulled his body upward, the branch groaning in protest. The challenging exercises were a necessary step in his relentless pursuit of greater power. Now on to ki control and focus. Making his way to a tranquil waterfall, its cascading waters creating a soothing symphony of nature, he sat cross-legged on a moss-covered rock, his eyes closed in meditation. This phase of his training was about harnessing and controlling his inner energy, known as ki. With a deep breath, Naruto entered a state of profound concentration. He channeled his ki, forming a compact sphere of energy in the palm of his hand. The sphere pulsed with vibrant blue and white hues, reflecting his inner tranquility. His focus was absolute as he manipulated the ki sphere. It expanded and contracted in perfect harmony with his breath, its energy radiating like a miniature sun. His mastery over ki was a vital aspect of his Super Saiyan training. Even after all these years, it was still weird adapting to a whole new biology. As nice as having something like the Dragon Balls would have been nice in home universe, just the potential for damage and evil outweighed their usefulness considering how crafty villains were in his home world. Returning to the forest, his aura blazed with intensity as he prepared for his next challenge, speed and agility training. He had set up a series of markers, each spaced at precise intervals through the woods. Naruto shot forward with explosive speed, covering the distance between the markers in the blink of an eye. His movements were a blur, and his reflexes honed to perfection. He deftly weaved through trees and hurtled over fallen logs, his control over his Super Saiyan form allowing him to maintain perfect balance at such incredible speeds. To further enhance his agility, Naruto executed acrobatic flips and spins in midair. He twisted and turned with graceful finesse, his body a testament to the peak physical condition that only a Saiyan warrior could achieve. The rustling leaves and chirping birds bore witness to Naruto's training, each movement pushing his limits further. Now to begin energy blasting drills. He prepared for a series of energy blasting drills, a crucial aspect of his training. He extended his arms forward, palms facing out, and began to concentrate his energy. With a powerful shout, Naruto released a wave that tore through the sky. The energy blast was a brilliant orange, a testament to his mastery over the technique. It soared through the air, leaving a blazing trail of energy in its wake before colliding with a massive boulder, obliterating it in a dazzling display of power. Naruto's expression was one of focused determination as he repeated the exercise. Each wave that he unleashed was more precise and more potent than the last. He could feel the energy surging within him, his control over it becoming second nature. With his energy blasting drills complete, he headed to a nearby river, still in his Super Saiyan form. His training was far from over. In the water, he aimed to enhance his lung capacity and breath control, further pushing the boundaries of his physical capabilities. Taking a deep breath and submerged himself beneath the surface, the hybrid. The river's current tugged at his body, but he remained steadfast. He began to swim against the flow, the water resistance adding an extra layer of challenge to his training. Minutes turned into hours as the hybrid continued his underwater exercises. He practiced holding his breath for extended periods, his lungs expanding and contracting with precision. His body moved through the water with grace and ease, his Super Saiyan form allowing him to navigate the depths effortlessly. Back on solid ground, Naruto sparred with a set of clones. Each set to use either different taijutsu styles or techniques while he himself was restricted from using anything but ki techniques. He employed a wide array of combat techniques, seamlessly transitioning from punches to kicks, and from energy attacks to close-quarters combat. His movements were a blur of motion as he executed intricate martial arts forms with fluid grace. His body moved with the grace of a seasoned warrior, his every strike a testament to the years of training and experience that had brought him to this point. As the hours passed, Naruto's Super Saiyan aura flickered with intensity. The clones had all been dispersed. With that unwavering determination, Naruto knew that he was one step closer to reaching a new level of power. The forest around him bore the marks of his intense training, but it also whispered of the boundless potential that lay within him. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm orange glow over the clearing, the hybrid Super Saiyan's form slowly dissipated. He walked through the tranquil forest, his muscles aching but his spirit soaring. His training had been grueling, but it was a testament to his commitment to becoming the ultimate warrior. With renewed determination and a profound sense of purpose, Naruto disappeared into the depths of the forest, ready to face any challenge that might arise. Once he felt confident enough, he would hop to the other universe and began putting the next step of his plan into action. After a great deal of trial and error and theorizing on the best way to handle the situation, Naruto figured with Namekian generation he had more than one attempt at triggering the fated reincarnation of Piccolo Jr. without failing, and if not, the Namekian Dragon Balls were an option. Thankfully, at the statement the Demon King was in, it took little effort to strike a near-fatal blow to his torso and initiate this occurrence. Using the time bracelet, the blonde decided to jump to the twin universe. Using his knowledge and power, quickly established himself as a good-natured vigilante and helped protect a few worlds from would-be galactic conquerors. Unlike its twin with one line of conquerors in the form of the Cold lineage, there were several would-be conquerors, including criminal clans and warmongers. So with his popularity rising, he was finally able to get a scion diplomat H-Army and assisted to arrange a visit to planet Sadala after 6 months of hard work. As the spacecraft descended into the atmosphere of planet Sadala, Naruto pressed his face against the small window, eyes wide with curiosity and a hint of apprehension. The landscape unfurling below was a tapestry of lush green expanses and sprawling urban areas, a stark contrast to the arid scenes of many Earth-like planets he had visited. The craft jolted slightly as it landed on the outskirts of the planet's largest city, also named Sadala, after its founding scion. The hatch hissed open, and Naruto stepped out, greeted by the sight of towering buildings made from materials he couldn't quite identify, and streets bustling with scions of all ages. He was approached by a welcoming committee, led by a middle-aged scion with a stern face and a muscular build, wearing what appeared to be a ceremonial armor. "Welcome to Sadala, traveler. I am Commander Lapino, assigned to assist you during your stay." The scion introduced himself with a formal bow, which Naruto returned. "Thank you, Commander Lapino. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I'm here to learn about your culture and your people," Naruto replied, his voice steady but friendly. Lapino nodded, signaling for Naruto to follow him. "This way, please. Let us show you around our city and acquaint you with our ways." As they walked through the bustling streets, Lapino began to explain. "Sadala is the capital and the largest city of our planet. It is the center of Scion civilization, where both our government and main military facilities are located." Naruto's eyes darted around, taking in every sight and sound. The architecture was a mix of high-tech structures and more traditional, stone-built houses. Scions of various ages were everywhere, some in groups, training right on the streets, sparring without holding back. "What about your culture? I noticed the children and even the elderly are involved in what looks like training sessions," Naruto queried, gesturing towards a group of young scion children executing combat drills under the watchful eye of an older scion. Lapino laughed, a deep, hearty sound. "Yes, martial prowess is valued above all here. Every scion, regardless of age, trains. It is our way of life. Strength is our culture's cornerstone. However, we also value honor, family, and loyalty. These principles guide us as much as our strength does." Naruto nodded, impressed and slightly overwhelmed by the intense focus on martial strength, yet touched by the underlying values of honor and family. They continued their tour, visiting a local eatery where Naruto tried traditional Scion dishes, which were surprisingly spicy and rich in flavors. Lapino detailed how Scions had evolved to require high-energy food to match their physically demanding lifestyle. As the day wore on, they took a moment to rest in a small, quiet park. Lapino had just finished explaining the governmental structure when Naruto broached another subject. "I heard about a scion, a young leader, quite influential but not through politics or military. Caulifla, I believe?" Naruto asked, recalling the snippets of conversations he had overheard among the scions. Lapino's expression stiffened for a moment before he replied, "Ah, Caulifla. Yes, she is known, but not always for reasons we might prefer. She is young, brash, and incredibly powerful. Leader of a gang that often skirts the edges of our laws." What kind of gang? Naruto's interest was piqued. His time as a ninja had taught him that not all groups labeled as gangs were necessarily malevolent. They are troublemakers, often challenging the traditional ways, engaging in unauthorized fights, thefts, and such. But there's no denying her potential. If only she could be persuaded to join the Sadala Defense Corps. Naruto absorbed this information, his mind racing. Someone with good potential like that would be a valuable fighter. Where can I find her? He asked after a moment's pause. Lapino raised an eyebrow. Why would you want to meet Caulifla? I want to understand all aspects of your culture, Commander. And that includes the fringes, the outliers like Caulifla's gang. Maybe there's more to her story, Naruto explained. Lapino considered this for a moment, then nodded reluctantly. Very well. She's often seen in the lower eastern district, near the industrial sectors. But be cautious, Naruto Uzumaki. Caulifla is not to be underestimated. Thank you, Commander. I appreciate your guidance, Naruto said, standing. He was ready to explore deeper, to meet this scion who was making waves in her own way. With a new objective, Naruto ventured toward the eastern district, his mind alight with thoughts of what lay ahead. As he ventured through the rough terrain of the outskirts of a large, bustling city, where lawlessness seemed to reign supreme, Naruto's sharp eyes caught sight of a group of individuals who matched the description of Caulifla's gang. They were causing havoc, their leader a young woman with wild, spiky hair and a confident aura that challenged anyone who dared to look her way. Naruto, blending the subtlety of a shinobi with the boldness of a scion, approached them. His arrival didn't go unnoticed, and it wasn't long before he was surrounded. Who the hell are you supposed to be? Caulifla snapped, sizing him up with a scrutinizing gaze that seemed to pierce through his intentions. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm not from around here, Naruto responded calmly, his voice carrying a non-threatening, yet assertive tone. I heard about you, Caulifla. They say you're someone not to be trifled with. Caulifla smirked, her interest piqued. And you thought it'd be fun to trifle with me? She taunted, crossing her arms. What do you want, stranger? Naruto's eyes narrowed slightly. I'm looking for strong fighters, and I've heard that you might be one of the strongest scions of Sadala. I thought maybe you'd be interested in a spar, just to see where we stand. The gang laughed, the sound harsh and mocking, but Caulifla held up a hand to silence them. Her eyes, alight with the fire of combat, assessed him anew. You've got guts, I'll give you that, she said. All right, Naruto Uzumaki, I'll take you on. Guys, clear out. I want to see what this outsider's got. The gang members backed away, forming a rough circle around Naruto and Caulifla. The air was thick with anticipation, the ground beneath their feet a makeshift arena. Caulifla wasted no time. She charged at Naruto, throwing a flurry of punches that were both fast and furious. Naruto dodged them with a fluid grace, his movements precise and economical. Not bad, Caulifla grunted, stepping back and eyeing him with new interest. But you gotta do better than just dodge. Naruto smirked slightly. Alright, let's step it up then. He met her next charge head-on. This time, when Caulifla threw a punch, Naruto blocked it, and countered with a gentle tap to her side that pushed her off balance. You're overextending, he advised casually, as she regained her footing. Keep your center of gravity in mind. Caulifla scowled, irritation flashing in her eyes. Don't lecture me, she snapped, coming at him again with increased ferocity. The spar continued, Caulifla trying to land a hit while Naruto continued to evade and offer pointers. Your form is great, but your predictability will be your downfall, Naruto commented, ducking under a particularly aggressive swing. Mix up your rhythms. Caulifla growled, her pride stung by the critique, but part of her recognized the truth in his words. She switched tactics, her attacks becoming more varied, but Naruto's advice had prepared him to anticipate this as well. With a yell, Caulifla tapped deeper into her scion strength, her aura flaring as she accessed her full power. Let's see you handle this, Naruto's expression hardened slightly at the transformation. Impressive, he acknowledged, then, without warning, his power surged as he called upon more of his own power. His presence alone pushed against the very air in the arena. The clash escalated, the ground beneath them cracking with the force of their blows. Caulifla was fast and brutal, but Naruto's enhanced reflexes and tactical mind kept him one step ahead. He dodged a spinning kick and gently countered with a push against her back. "You're faster now, but still predictable." Caulifla's frustration boiled over. She launched a series of energy blasts, which Naruto deflected effortlessly. "You're strong," he said, his voice still calm, "but strength isn't everything." As the dust settled, Caulifla dropped to one knee, panting heavily from the exertion and the emotional toll of the spar. Naruto stood relaxed, barely a sweat on him. Why can't I hit you?" Caulifla demanded, her voice a mix of anger and admiration. "Because you rely too much on brute force," Naruto explained gently, stepping closer. "Your technique is good, but your strategy needs work. You're straightforward in your attacks, which makes you easy to read." Caulifla considered his words, her chest heaving with heavy breaths. Slowly, her expression shifted from one of ire to one of grudging respect. "Teach me," she said abruptly, surprising even herself with the request. Naruto smiled, offering her a hand to help her up. As Naruto and Caulifla walked back toward the center of town, Caulifla's gang, who had observed the entire spar, was buzzing with mixed reactions. They clustered around the pair, their expressions ranging from disbelief to respect. "Did you guys see that?" One of the gang members, a burly scion with a scar across his cheek, said in astonishment. "She actually asked him to teach her." Another, a younger scion with an eager gleam in his eyes, chimed in, "That guy's no ordinary fighter. Did you see how he moved? It's like he knew what Caulifla was gonna do before she did it." Caulifla threw them a glare, which immediately quieted them down. "Knock it off," she snapped, though her tone was less harsh than usual. "Naruto's got skills, and if he can help us get stronger, then I say we give him a chance." Her gang nodded, some still skeptical but most curious about the potential of learning from Naruto. They respected Caulifla's decision. As their leader, she had always made choices with their best interests in mind. As they continued their walk, a figure detached herself from the shadows of an alleyway they were passing. It was Kale, a member of Caulifla's gang known for her shyness and, unbeknownst to many, immense potential. Her eyes were wide, fixed on Naruto with an intensity that spoke of both awe and curiosity. "Who's that?" Naruto asked, noticing her stare. "That's Kale, one of us," Caulifla explained, waving Kale over. "Hey Kale! Come meet Naruto." Kale approached timidly, her gaze flitting between Caulifla and Naruto. "Hi," she murmured, almost inaudibly. Naruto smiled warmly, offering a hand in greeting. "Nice to meet you, Kale. I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Kale took his hand, her own trembling slightly. "I saw your fight. You're really strong," she stammered, then seemed to gather some courage. "And you can teach Caulifla?" "Yes, I believe I can. And maybe you too, if you're interested," Naruto responded, sensing her potential. His innate ability to gauge a fighter's capacity, honed through years of battles and training, told him that Kale might just be a hidden gem. Kale's eyes lit up, a spark of excitement breaking through her usual timidity. "I'd like that," she said more firmly this time. Caulifla smirked, clapping Kale on the back. "Looks like you've got more students than you bargained for, Naruto." Over the next few weeks, Naruto became an integral part of the gang, not just as a mentor but also as a member who contributed ideas and strategies. His training sessions were intense, and not just focused on physical strength but also tactical thinking and emotional control, which he explained were crucial for a warrior's development. Caulifla and Kale, under his guidance, began to harness their powers more effectively. Caulifla's brashness tempered slightly with strategic considerations, and Kale's confidence was slowly building up. The rest of the gang also benefited from Naruto's teachings. His approach was different from anything they had known, steeped in a philosophy of balance, understanding one's own strengths and weaknesses, and the shinobi way of adaptability and resourcefulness. They learned not just to fight, but to think and feel as warriors. One evening, after a particularly grueling training session, the gang gathered around the fire outside their usual hangout spot, a sense of camaraderie in the air that had been rare before Naruto's arrival. "You know," Caulifla said, as they roasted some local meats over the fire, "I never thought I'd say this, but you've changed things around here, Naruto. For the better." Naruto, sitting with a modest plate of food, nodded in acknowledgement. "You all have the potential to be great, not just as fighters but as leaders, thinkers. It's been a pleasure helping you all see that." Kale, now noticeably more comfortable around the group, added, "And it's not just fighting. You've taught us about honor, respect, things we didn't think much about before." The gang murmured their agreement, and even those who had been skeptical at first now looked at Naruto with a blend of respect and gratitude. Caulifla raised her cup in a toast to Naruto, who's more than just a mentor or a fighter. He's one of us now. "To Naruto," the gang echoed, raising their cups. Naruto smiled, his heart full. "To new beginnings," he responded, his voice steady with the promise of countless possibilities ahead. After weeks of brutal training sessions and more than a few bruised egos, Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale figured they'd earned a break. So, they ditched the city for a quiet patch of lakeshore just outside Sadala. The sunset threw streaks of orange and pink across the sky, turning the water into molten glass, and the city's noise faded into the distance. They built a small campfire and let the crackle of flames fill the gaps in their conversation. For all their training, nobody pushed harder than Caulifla. She approached every challenge like it owed her money, and with Kale always in her orbit, it was no wonder that the trio usually wound up together when the world finally slowed down. They sat in a loose circle around the fire, tearing into grilled fish and whatever fruit they'd managed to scrounge up. For a while, nobody said much. Then Naruto broke the silence, curiosity getting the better of him. He'd grown close to Caulifla and Kale, but there were still gaps in their stories. "Hey, Caulifla, Kale, if you don't mind me asking, I've been wondering about your pasts. Would you be up for sharing a little?" Caulifla paused, fork halfway to her mouth. She studied Naruto for a beat, sizing him up, then gave a short nod. "Sure, Blondie. You've told us plenty about your world, seems fair we return the favor." Kale shot Caulifla a nervous glance, but seeing her friend's easy confidence, she offered a quiet, "Yeah. I think I'm ready." Caulifla leaned back, letting the firelight play across her face. "I grew up in one of Sadala's rougher districts. My parents were low-level warriors, never had much, but they taught me to stand on my own feet. Independence, resilience, that was their legacy." Her voice dropped, the memory cutting deeper than she let on. "When I was 8, my parents died on a mission. One bad day, and suddenly I was on my own. No family, no home, just the street and whatever I could scrounge together. So I learned to fight. That's how you survive." Naruto listened, his usual grin gone. That's a lot to go through." Caulifla shrugged, like it was no big deal. "I managed. Got into scraps, stole food, made a name for myself so people would think twice before messing with me. Ended up leading a gang of scions who were just as lost as I was." She flicked a twig into the fire. "My brother, Renzo, was captain of the Sadala Defense Forces. After he got hurt and had to quit, he wanted me to join up, walk the straight and narrow. Couldn't stand the idea. Still, he always had my back, never gave up on me, even when I ignored him." Naruto nodded, understanding more than he let on. Older brothers can be stubborn like that. A rare, genuine smile crossed Caulifla's face. "Yeah. He's a big part of why I'm still kicking." Kale's turn came, and her story unspooled like a quiet echo beside Caulifla's. She grew up far from the city's chaos, in a peaceful patch of countryside. Her family was kind, her childhood gentle, at least on the surface. But Kale was different. Even as a kid, her strength was off the charts, and that scared everyone, even the people who loved her. I always felt out of place, Kale admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. People were afraid of what I might do. Sometimes my own family, too. I never wanted to hurt anyone, but I couldn't always control it. The fire popped, and she flinched at the sound. When I was 12, I lost control during training. Destroyed half the village by accident. After that, everyone just wanted me gone. So I left. She glanced at Caulifla, then back at Naruto, as if steadying herself. I wandered for a while, didn't know where to go. That's when I found Caulifla. She's the first person who wasn't afraid of me. Naruto looked between them, one forged by hardship and defiance, the other shaped by loneliness and power she never asked for. For a moment, the fire was the only thing moving, throwing shadows across three lives that, against all odds, had managed to collide on the same quiet lakeshore. That's where Caulifla found her. Kale was cornered by a bunch of older scions, their taunts getting meaner by the second. Caulifla didn't hesitate, she jumped right in, shoving herself between Kale and the bullies. For a second, everything went still. Back off, she snapped, her voice carrying enough force to make the group scatter. It was the first real kindness Kale had seen in what felt like forever. Kale, tears stinging her eyes, stared at Caulifla. Why would you help me? Her voice wavered, small and uncertain. Caulifla just grinned and stuck out her hand. Because I know what it's like to feel alone. I see the strength in you even if you don't. Come on. Stick with me. I'll help you figure it out. From that day on, they were a team. Caulifla didn't just teach Kale how to fight, she showed her how to channel her raw power, how to own it instead of being afraid. And in return, Kale gave Caulifla something she hadn't had in years: loyalty, trust, and someone who'd stick by her no matter what. Caulifla saved me, Kale told Naruto, her voice soft but sure. She helped me realize my power isn't something to hide. It's part of who I am. She's the reason I learned to control it instead of letting it control me. Caulifla nudged Kale, a teasing glint in her eye. Now look at you, one of the toughest around. Don't forget who helped get you there. Naruto listened, genuinely moved. You guys turned all that pain into something strong. It's honestly inspiring. Caulifla's eyes sparkled with pride as she glanced at Kale. We didn't have much except each other. Kale's my sister, even if we're not related. When I saw her getting pushed around, I couldn't let it stand. So, I taught her to fight back, and we've been a team ever since. Kale smiled at Caulifla, gratitude shining through. She's always been my anchor. She never gives up, and she never lets anyone mess with me. I owe her everything. Naruto felt the weight of their story settle in his chest. You two, you've got something special. That's real strength, having each other's backs no matter what. A comfortable silence fell over the group, broken only by the gentle crackle of the fire. The next morning, with the warmth of last night's stories still lingering, Naruto decided it was time to actually see the planet he'd be calling home for a while. Curious about Scion culture, he asked Caulifla and Kale to give him a tour of the city. As they walked the streets of Sadala, Naruto took in everything: the tall, sturdy buildings made from a mix of old stone and gleaming, advanced alloys, the sculptures of warriors frozen mid-battle, the seamless blend of history and tech everywhere he looked. Man, these buildings are wild, Naruto said, pausing in front of an especially impressive structure covered in detailed carvings of old Scion legends. Caulifla grinned, pride in her voice. Sadala's got a long history. Some of these places date back to the first King Sadala. They've been standing forever, and they're not going anywhere. Kale chimed in, we respect where we came from, but we're not afraid to move forward either. That's why you see so much old mixed in with the new. Naruto couldn't help but admire it, the way Sadala held on to its history without turning its back on progress. As they made their way through the city, Naruto quickly realized that training wasn't just for the elite, it was woven into daily life. Arenas and practice grounds were everywhere, echoing with the thud of fists, the crackle of ki blasts, instructors barking orders, and the determined shouts of kids barely old enough to tie their own boots. Caulifla brought Naruto to a massive training arena where a group of young scions was sparring beneath the sharp gaze of an older instructor. "This is where we shape the next generation," she explained. "Every scion learns to fight from the time they can walk." He watched the kids go at it, no hesitation, no holding back. It reminded him of his own days at the academy back home, except here, everything felt cranked up a notch. Kale gave a gentle nod. "We start early because it's not just about fighting. It's about discipline, respect, and understanding yourself. Knowing what you can do, and when not to use that strength." The instructor, a mountain of a man with the kind of presence that made you stand straighter, noticed them watching and strode over. "Can I help you?" he asked, his tone stern but not unfriendly. Caulifla stepped forward, utterly at ease. "Just showing our friend around. He's curious about Sadala." The instructor's expression softened. "You picked the right place. Training is at the core of who we are. It's how we stay strong, how we keep our people safe." As they walked on, Naruto wanted to dig deeper. "So, what actually drives Scion culture?" he asked. "What matters most to your people?" Kale answered first, her voice steady and clear. "Strength, honor, loyalty. Everyone trains, no matter their age. Our whole economy is built around it. We don't just fight for ourselves. We protect other planets, provide security, and in return, we get resources we need. It's not just a job, it's our way of life." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "So, everything revolves around training and fighting? Sounds intense. What about other stuff, like trade or business?" Caulifla shrugged, a wry smile on her lips. "It's tough, sure. But that's why we push ourselves so hard. We have to be the best, there's no other option." Naruto could tell how much it meant to her. Strength was clearly the foundation of everything here, but he wanted to know more. "Okay, strength I get. But where do honor and loyalty fit in?" Caulifla was the first to move, launching herself at Kale with her trademark speed and fierce aggression. Kale held her ground, her defenses rock solid, meeting each strike head-on. The air crackled as their ki clashed, sending ripples through the quiet forest. Naruto stood back, eyes sharp, tracking every move. "Caulifla, don't burn out on showing moves," he called. "Save your strength for when it matters. Kale, don't just defend, trust yourself. Go on the attack." Caulifla shot him a quick nod, dialing back her wild swings and shifting to more measured, precise strikes, probing Kale's guard. Kale, bolstered by Naruto's encouragement, started to push back, stepping into her own power. Every time she landed a hit, her confidence seemed to grow a notch. Naruto couldn't help but grin. He saw their growth, the way Caulifla's raw intensity was getting sharper, and how Kale's old hesitance was being replaced with steely resolve. "That's it! Keep going!" he shouted, genuine pride in his voice. By the end, both were breathing hard, sweat on their brows, but their eyes were bright, satisfied, hungry for more. "You're both getting stronger," Naruto said, beaming. "But there's always another level." Caulifla wiped her face, grinning. "You better watch out, Naruto. I'm catching up. Won't be long now." Kale's shy smile peeked through. "Thank you? I never thought I'd fight like this." Naruto's grin widened. "I'm proud of you. Both of you. Take a breather, we'll ramp things up in a minute." As his shadow clone kept running drills with the others, Naruto sat down with his two-star pupils. They let the breeze cool them, catching their breath, and Naruto's eyes gleamed with anticipation. "I've been working on something new," he said. "A technique that takes total focus and perfect ki control. I call it ki fusion. It lets two fighters merge their energy, creating a force way stronger than either could make alone." Caulifla's eyes went wide. "No way! How do we do it?" Naruto broke it down, how synchronizing their ki, blending strengths, could create a power neither could reach on their own. He demonstrated, channeling a bit of his ki and weaving it together with Caulifla's. The result, a glowing orb of energy, pulsing and vibrant. Kale stared, awestruck. That's incredible. It's tough, Naruto warned. You have to be in perfect sync, trust, understanding, all that. If you're even a little out of step, it won't work. Caulifla and Kale exchanged a look, determination in both their faces. We're ready, Caulifla said, voice steady. Naruto nodded. All right. Let's start simple. Feel each other's ki, match your breathing, find the rhythm. Most of the day went into practicing. It wasn't easy, they fumbled, lost the thread, had to start over more than once. But they didn't give up, and by sunset, they finally managed it, a small, stable fusion of their ki, radiating warmth and strength. We did it! Caulifla whooped, pride all over her face. Kale's smile was brighter than ever. Yes, we did. Naruto felt a wave of satisfaction, the kind that only comes from seeing your students break through. That's just the beginning, he told them. Soon you'll be able to use this in battle. And when that day comes, no one will be able to stand in your way. A ripple coursed through Naruto's memories as he woke on the top floor of a half-finished tower in Sadala. A mild breeze brushed across his cheek, carrying the warm, pungent aroma of Sion cooking fires below. Dawn tinted the sky a gentle gold, and in that hush, he felt the faint stirrings of other worlds and other times. He hopped off the tower's ledge, using a burst of ki to cushion his landing. The city was stirring awake, vendors setting up stalls, children practicing martial drills, older scions heading to the central squares for advanced combat. No one paused to stare at the outsider. His thoughts turned to Caulifla and Kale, the two scion youths who had grown close to him, forging a bond of training, mutual respect, and hidden glances that suggested budding trust. Before heading to meet them, he checked the communicator strapped to his wrist, time patroller technology disguised to fit scion design. No urgent signals from the old timeline. He parted ways with that duty to carve this new path in Universe 6. But the memories remained, and sometimes that swirling potential of time manipulation haunted him. With a final breath, he stepped into the bustling street, weaving through scion passers-by. Another day in Universe 6 began. Naruto found Caulifla and Kale in a sandy courtyard on Sadala's outskirts. A small group of Caulifla's old gang loitered nearby, but these two were in the midst of structured training. Over recent weeks, Naruto had guided them in merging base scion ferocity with subtle shinobi footwork and ki control. Even without transformations, he saw them grow sharper daily. Caulifla was drilling a series of spinning kicks, each precisely angled. Whenever she unleashed too much raw strength, she caused swirling dust storms that blocked visibility. Meanwhile, Kale practiced gentler but precise blasts, aiming at a set of battered stone columns. The tension in her posture suggested she still wrestled with emotional control, but she was improving. Morning, you two, Naruto greeted. He wore a warm smile, though part of him remained watchful. Caulifla let out a satisfied huff, halting her combos. You're late, knucklehead. We started without you. He shrugged, feigning nonchalance. Had to see the sunrise from the tower. Clear the mind. Kale offered him a shy nod. We're trying that exercise you mentioned, controlling short, rapid bursts instead of big blasts. She glanced at a crater that had formed from her earlier attempt. I still slip up. Naruto eyed the crater, lips quirking. Hey, practice is about mistakes. You'll refine it soon enough. Let's do a quick demonstration, see how you're applying the technique. Caulifla perked up. Ready to show you. Watch me. She squared her stance, condensed a swirling ball of ki in her palm, then lashed it forward. The energy soared true, hitting one of the stone targets dead center. Instead of exploding outward, it left a controlled dent, scattering a neat ring of debris. Naruto whistled low. Nicely done. Less wasted energy. Caulifla smirked. Told you I'd get it. Next time, I want something harder. Kale's attempt followed. Her key sphere wobbled but found its mark with decent precision. She gave a soft grin. Still better than yesterday. Naruto patted her shoulder. You're both improving. Keep in mind force meets control. Let's keep building on it. They fell into a comfortable banter, dissecting angles of approach, each exchange free-flowing and unforced. Naruto refrained from spouting obvious statements like "you are strong." Instead, each subtle nod or softly spoken good follow-through communicated volumes. After training, they sat around a small open-air fire, sharing a meal of grilled local beast and spiced vegetables. Caulifla's gang retreated to their usual corners, leaving the trio to converse in relative privacy. Kale sipped water from a canteen, glancing sideways at Naruto. So, I heard talk about more sightings of those reptilian raiders. People say they're stepping up attacks again. They brokered an uneasy truce by revealing old documents that exonerated the main Scion leadership. But not every faction accepted it wholeheartedly. Caulifla's expression darkened. They want more proof. Or maybe they just can't let go. TCH, we risk another crisis if it spirals. Naruto sighed. We might have to step in again. Commander Lapino mentioned he's monitoring the southwestern sector. If another faction of that clan is stirring trouble, we can't ignore it. Kale's eyes flickered with concern. We worked so hard to ease the tension. I hope it's just a rumor. Naruto, mindful of his time patroller instincts, felt that old sense of timeline unraveling. Some part of him recalled battles across eras, fixing anomalies. Perhaps Universe SIX's quiet future was still threatened by leftover grudges. He pushed that thought aside, focusing on the present. We can gather info. Meanwhile, keep refining. We might need every trick if we face new aggression. No one declared we'll do it. In a loud voice. They just nodded in unspoken agreement. Days later, Naruto found himself alone at a remote ravine, wanting to test the boundaries of the Super Saiyan transformation and see if he could push higher. He wore a simple sleeveless shirt and loose Saiyan training pants. As the midday sun beat down, he centered his breathing. Memories from the Time Patroller days bubbled up, God-key glimpses, transformations that took Goku ages to master, but which Naruto had gleaned from altered timelines. Yet he recognized he was no pure Saiyan like Goku or Vegeta. He was half. Still, he summoned his ki, letting that distinct Saiyan rage and determination bubble. The air trembled around him. His hair, normally spiky blonde, though a shade deeper than pure Saiyan gold, bristled. With a low, guttural growl, he pushed. Flash. Gold aura exploded from his frame. His eyes took on a sharper greenish hue, hair flickering a luminous gold. Rocks levitated, swirling in the eddies of power. A searing heat encompassed him. The transformation was stable, easier now than the first time he'd used it in private. He clenched and unclenched his fists. The raw power surged. He could do a lot with this. Could anyone in Universe 6 match it? Possibly. He recalled hearing of a Scion called Kaba who once achieved transformations, but that was from the Time Patroller memories of Universe 7's tournaments. Heart pounding, he held the form for a good minute, then exhaled, letting it fade. He dropped to one knee, panting. Even half Scion, he needed more training to sustain it without strain. Still not second nature, he murmured. A few more quiet days slipped by. Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale continued training, refining small group tactics and feints that combined shinobi illusions with Scion stamina. The city thrummed with routine challenges. Then, one late afternoon, an urgent call reached them from a traveling merchant. A band of reptilian raiders was harassing trade routes again near a dusty canyon to the west. Furious, Caulifla wanted to dash off immediately. Naruto coaxed caution. The last thing they needed was an ambush. They ended up heading there with minimal escort, hoping to scout before leaping in. The canyon was vast, layered with striated rock. Naruto sensed faint hostile ki in the distance. Kale scanned the horizon, shielding her eyes against swirling sand. I see dust plumes. Possibly a skirmish? Caulifla growled. We go in. If they want trouble, we'll give it. Naruto's expression tightened. Let's keep an opening for dialogue if they're a splinter group from the old clan. They might not realize we've resolved the main feud. As they approached, they witnessed a small caravan pinned by reptilian fighters. The merchants cowered behind upturned carts. The reptiles hurled blasts, demanding payment or retribution. The scene was too dire for subtle infiltration. Caulifla muttered a curse. They're bullies. Let's end it. Naruto nodded. They soared forward in a wedge formation. Caulifla led, fists blazing with ki, smashing the first two reptiles aside. Kale intercepted blasts aimed at the merchants, deflecting them with carefully timed counters. Naruto weaved among them, using illusions to confuse their aim. In the swirling dust, the reptilian ringleader hissed, "Silence again. You owe us for centuries of pain." Naruto retorted, "We've settled that with your clan's main leader. This vendetta is pointless." The ringleader either didn't care or didn't believe him, unleashing a savage volley of scorching spheres. Caulifla roared back with her own blast, forcing them to detonate midair in bright flashes. The shockwaves raked across the canyon floor. Kale dashed to protect the merchants, corralling them to safer ground. Meanwhile, Naruto hammered a barrage of quick strikes into the reptile's flank. "Stop fighting, without cause," he snarled between hits. But the ringleader was fueled by old hatred. "Our leader might accept your deals, but we refuse to let science slip away from their crimes. We are purists." Naruto realized these must be extremists who refused the peace accord. The skirmish escalated. Caulifla hammered down one reptilian soldier, flipping him onto his back. Another tried to slash her from behind, but Naruto flickered in, blocking with a kunai. At that moment, the ringleader sensed defeat looming. He triggered a device on his wrist, conjuring a swirling purple portal. Typical advanced teleport tech again. He sneered, "We'll strike again, count on it." Then he and his few remaining men vanished. Left behind were battered stragglers who surrendered, plus the shaken merchants. The trio exhaled, hearts pounding. Another partial victory, but the problem persisted. Kale helped a wounded merchant stand. "Are you okay?" He nodded shakily. "Thanks to you. They demanded compensation for some old war we had no idea." Naruto's lips thinned. "We'll escort you to safety, then see if the court can track them." Caulifla kicked a broken cart in frustration. "This is never gonna end if these splinter groups keep ignoring the main clan's decision. TCH. They parted with the merchants after ensuring they were safe. Once home, they coordinated with Commander Lapino, who organized a council meeting in Sadala's administrative complex. Reptilian clan ambassadors aligned with the main leader who accepted the peace were also invited. In a large circular chamber, bright overhead lights glinted off polished floors. Naruto, Caulifla, Kale, Lapino, plus 2 reptilian delegates sat around a broad table. The reptilian delegates wore formal regalia rather than combat gear, tails curling anxiously. One delegate, scale color a dull teal, spoke first. "We appreciate the majority of silence acknowledging the ancient fiasco was not officially sanctioned. Our clan's primary leader endorses the new peace. But radical elements remain, refusing all compromise." Lapino nodded. "We face them. They ignore the official clan position. We need a strategy to quell or convert these extremists. Our planet can't afford repeated raids." Kale spoke softly. "Is there a way to unify your clan under your leader's final word? In many societies, dissenters follow the majority if a strong stance is taken." The second reptilian, older with pitted scales, sighed. "We have tried. But the clan is scattered across sub-factions, each led by war chiefs. Some cling to the idea that all scions must suffer. We cannot simply force them to accept the new evidence." Naruto's expression was resolute. Perhaps we can show them tangible gestures of restitution. Maybe incorporate them into mutual projects, or something. But the question is, how do we even find them all? They keep teleporting away. Lapino folded his arms. We do have a plan. We suspect they use anchor devices. If we disrupt or trace the anchor frequency, we can corner them. But we'll need to get close. Caulifla's eyes glinted. So basically, set a trap. Let them come to a target, then jam their teleport. The reptilian delegates hesitated. That might escalate into a fight again. Naruto inhaled slowly. Memories of time patroller missions flitted by, repeated timelines, unstoppable foes, always needing cunning to fix paradoxes. A confrontation might be inevitable. If we corner them in a place where they can't escape easily, we can push them to see reason or subdue them if they refuse. The delegates finally nodded, reluctant but seeing no better option. Thus they hammered out details. A convoy carrying supplies would travel a known route, rumored to be lightly guarded. But in truth, it'd be heavily monitored, with technology to jam the anchor device. Caulifla's gang plus core squads would wait in the wings. Naruto, Kale, and Caulifla would stand ready to handle the biggest threats. No one stated this as the final battle. But the undercurrent was clear. If these extremist raids didn't end, the budding peace might collapse. Within days, the trap was laid. A transport caravan was arranged to traverse a desert route. Word leaked in subtle channels, thanks to Caulifla's street-level contacts, that it carried valuable relics, possibly tied to Scion history. Enough to lure the extremist reptiles who still demanded Scion debts. Naruto and Kale accompanied the caravan openly, disguised as mundane guards. Caulifla and a handful of core elites followed from a higher vantage, hidden behind rocky spires. Another squad manned a hidden jamming device. The reptilian delegates waited nearby, hoping to confirm official condemnation of the radical faction if it showed up. The midday sun glared fiercely as the caravan rumbled across the dunes. Naruto pretended to lounge on top of a cargo crate, but his senses were on high alert. Kale walked alongside a front vehicle, scanning the horizon. They exchanged subtle glances that said, "Ready?" Minutes dragged. Then, almost anticlimactically, portals shimmered in the air. Dust swirled as an entire band of reptilians materialized. Among them was that ringleader from the canyon. Two more powerful auras loomed behind. Naruto's heart pounded. He recognized one aura as akin to the black-armored woman's, except stronger. Possibly an extremist war chief. Perfect. The reptiles advanced, brandishing weapons. The ringleader snarled, "Science! These relics you carry belong to us now." Kale forced her voice to remain steady. "They're not even war relics. We're only carrying cultural artifacts for study." He spat. "Lies. Everything Scion is built on stolen worlds." Behind him stepped a tall, heavily armored reptile with scarred scales. The air around him crackled with ki. "We will enforce the rightful vow. Surrender or be destroyed." Naruto hopped down, raising a palm. "We're done with your vendetta. The clan's main leadership acknowledges peace. Why can't you?" The war chief's eyes burned with hatred. Peace with traitors is no peace at all. He unleashed a savage wave of energy, forcing Naruto and Kale to scatter. The caravan turned chaotic as the reptilians charged. In that instant, hidden core squads activated the jamming device. A faint hum pulsed, neutralizing anchor signals. "All squads, go!" came Lapino's voice over the comm. Caulifla and her group sprang from behind rock formations. The extremist reptiles realized they were cornered. Furious, they attacked. Blasts and shouts echoed across the dunes. Naruto engaged the war chief, each blow sending up arcs of dust. The chief's reptilian tail whipped around, forcing Naruto on the defensive. Meanwhile, Kale shielded the caravan from lesser attackers, her controlled blasts pushing them back. Caulifla tackled the ringleader who had threatened them before, wrestling him away from the cargo. All around them, scions and reptiles collided in a swirl of ki and physical strikes. The hot desert wind battered at them. The war chief laughed darkly, matching Naruto's moves. You fight well, but it won't save you. Naruto stepped up his speed. In an instant, he formed shadow clones, illusions gleamed from his shinobi side. The chief's eyes widened as multiple Narutos attacked from different angles. He blocked some, took hits from others, roaring in fury. But the reptilian still had raw power. He slammed a heavy fist into the real Naruto's chest, knocking him back. Naruto crashed into the sand, winded. Enough, the chief spat, raising an energy spear. No more illusions. A voice cut in, Caulifla. She soared over, delivering a swift kick to the chief's side. He's not alone, scum. Meanwhile, the black-armored woman from prior battles was absent, but the ringleader Caulifla faced spat curses, pinned under her unstoppable flurry. You can't keep us from our holy revenge. She hammered him into the sand, scowling. Try me. Kale joined them, having subdued 2 minor foes. Her eyes flicked to Naruto. Are you okay? He coughed, nodding. I'm fine. Something stirred in his chest, a longing to test a higher power if needed. The war chief rallied, lashing out with a terrifying wave that forced Caulifla and Kale to brace themselves. The desert rumbled. Corridors of swirling wind nearly swallowed them. Naruto realized if the chief's power rose further, they might be overwhelmed. The jamming device was preventing an escape, so the reptiles might fight to the end. He had to ensure minimal casualties. The time had come. Without announcing it, he stepped forward, clenching fists, letting his half-scion blood ignite. In a flash, his hair spiked upward, turning a brilliant gold. His eyes flared green. A fierce golden aura enveloped him, sending shockwaves across the sand. Kale gasped. Naruto? Caulifla stared in shock. Your hair, what? But Naruto had no time to explain. He locked eyes with the war chief. Enough. Stop this. The chief hesitated, sensing a new, formidable power. What are you? Naruto's aura crackled. He vanished in a burst of speed, reappearing behind the chief, slamming a glowing fist into his back. The blow sent the reptile skidding across the sand, roaring in pain. Another dash, Naruto hammered him from above, pinning him. All around, the reptilian extremists froze, witnessing a power they'd never encountered. The core squad seized the moment, subduing them. Caulifla and Kale, too stunned to speak, watched Naruto's golden aura swirl. Finally, the war chief spat up dust, unable to stand. You dare? Naruto exhaled, aura flickering. This fight is over. Surrender, or we'll stop you forcibly. Weakened, the chief had no choice. The extremist group lay defeated, pinned or cornered. The core marched in, cuffing them with advanced restraints. Naruto let his aura fade, returning to normal. He staggered a bit, the adrenaline surging. Caulifla rushed over, eyes wide. Naruto, that was insane. Your hair turned gold? Your energy soared, like nothing I've felt. Kale followed, concern etched on her face. Are you all right? That power, was it you? He took a shaky breath. It's a transformation I learned. I intended to teach you too when I felt you were ready, but I had to use it now to keep them from killing people. Caulifla's expression was a storm of emotions, admiration, confusion, maybe a trace of jealousy. But mostly wonder. That's beyond anything we know. You're half scion, I guess, but you're not from Universe 6? I'd heard rumors you used some wish to become part scion. Naruto nodded, voice quiet. Yes. In another timeline, I used Dragon Balls to alter my genes. I carry memories of the Time Patrol, from a place called Kanton City. It's complicated. But that's how I unlocked, well, we call it Super Scion. Kale's eyes flickered with curiosity. Super Scion, so that's possible for us too? He swallowed, recalling the glimpses from Universe 7's events. Potentially if you have Scion blood. But it requires intense training, plus a certain emotional trigger. Let's talk about it later. First, we handle these extremist scum. No one belabored the moment with grand expositions. They recognized the significance but set it aside for urgent matters. The extremist threat had ended. Core squads took the war chief and his men into custody, ensuring no more portal escapes. Caulifla and Kale both cast lingering, thoughtful looks at Naruto. Night fell as they returned to Sadala. The final pockets of reptilian extremists were in custody. The clan's main leadership reaffirmed peace. The city exhaled in relief. However, Naruto's earlier transformation overshadowed everything in Caulifla and Kale's minds. They gathered in a quiet courtyard behind an old building. Soft lamplight illuminated their faces. Caulifla crossed her arms, eyeing Naruto. So let's hear it. You're a half Scion. That's how you get that gold hair trick? Naruto ran a hand through his normal blonde hair, sheepish. I only discovered it a while back, after making a wish to become half Scion. My old world had strong fighters, but I realized I needed a higher potential to handle cosmic threats. The time patrol experiences taught me, or well the patroller, how powerful Scions can be. So I took a shortcut with the Dragon Balls. Kale listened intently, brow furrowed. And that's what we saw. Your power soared, like all your hidden strength erupted. Naruto nodded. Yes. It's called Super Scion. From the memories I inherited, I know the Scions in Sadala don't have it as part of their history. Trying to divine through the different set of memories and timeline stuff is a headache. Caulifla's eyes gleamed, the competitive spark lit. So you've been holding out on us. Typical. But also, does that mean we can do it too? Naruto paused as he tried to figure out the right way to explain without sharing too much too soon. The two of you are more than capable. If you want, I can try guiding you, though it usually involves pushing emotional triggers. It's not easy. She clenched a fist, excitement warring with annoyance. I want it. If that means surpassing my limits, I absolutely want it. Kale was more hesitant. That golden power felt intense. Is it safe? Naruto's gaze softened. It can be overwhelming. But with discipline, yes. It's a path to surpass normal Scion bounds. If done responsibly, it can be a tool for good. A hush fell. Caulifla stared at the ground, jaw clenched, then looked up. Naruto, thanks for stepping in. We might have lost people otherwise. He offered a small nod, letting her sincerity stand. Kale also bowed her head in gratitude. No one declared some grand vow or spelled out the future. But it was clear, the revelation of Super Scion changed the dynamic. They parted that evening with heavy thoughts. Naruto felt a weight lift, the next step. In the following days, Caulifla and Kale grilled Naruto about the steps or mindsets behind Super Scion. Even the word was foreign to them. They pestered him for a demonstration, but he insisted on a methodical approach. One morning, they convened at a rocky plateau far from the city. Caulifla tapped her foot impatiently. Okay, teacher. Show us the steps. Naruto inhaled. It's not about just steps. You need a strong emotional catalyst, like rage or unwavering resolve, to push your ki beyond its normal limit. Then you channel it, letting that surge transform your body. Kale frowned. But what if we can't force that emotion? He recalled Universe 7's stories. Goku triggered it from righteous anger at losing his friend, Vegeta from intense frustration. Usually, it's a response to extreme stress or heartbreak. But once you know it's possible, you can train yourself to replicate it. Let's see if we can artificially replicate the conditions. Caulifla cracked her knuckles. I'm good at pushing emotion. Let's do it. Naruto decided to serve as the spar partner, preparing illusions or taunts to provoke them. Over hours, he tried needling Caulifla with references to her perceived weaknesses, her failure to protect certain friends. She got angry, her ki soared, but not enough to shift to gold. She ended up exhausted and furious, though not transformed. Kale attempted to harness her fear of letting others down. She grew anxious, tears brimming, but her aura flickered only briefly. No transformation locked in. By sundown, both women were drained. Caulifla punched a boulder, splitting it. This is ridiculous. It's not happening. Naruto consoled them. It might take time. The initial trigger is tricky. From the patroller's memories, it took Goku losing a friend. But we can keep exploring. Kale nodded, voice subdued. I just want to do better. If it means harnessing that form to defend Sadala, I'll keep trying. Caulifla forced a smirk. We're no quitters. We'll break this barrier. No hollow bravado needed. They parted, each quietly determined to find the key to unlocking Super Saiyan in their own hearts. Naruto, meanwhile, continued balancing daily training, mild missions for the core, and guiding Caulifla and Kale. He also retreated alone sometimes to practice sustaining Super Saiyan for longer durations in order to perfect the Great Form 4, as simply flooding key result in stamina drain and speed loss respectively in attempts to push the form further. One midnight, he practiced on a deserted plain, golden aura illuminating the starry darkness. He tried layering his old ninjutsu, like Rasengan, through the heightened ki. The results were explosive, literally. The Rasengan whipped out a scorching shockwave that gouged a deep trench in the ground. He panted, sweat drenching him. Phew, that is potent. Focusing on mastering the basic Super Saiyan form was wise, especially if he intended to lead Caulifla and Kale responsibly. He let the golden aura fade, gazing up at the moonless sky. The memory of old timelines weighed on him. He returned to Sadala. Tomorrow, he'd plan a new approach to help the girls find that emotional catalyst without causing real tragedy. In the city, rumors of Naruto's super transformation spread. Some Saiyans scoffed, just a flashy trick. Others were enthralled, calling him the Golden Wanderer. The defense corps eyed him with a mixture of caution and respect. Caulifla's gang teased her mercilessly. So your sensei's got a golden form. Where's yours, boss? She snapped back, pride stung. She cornered Naruto that same evening, eyes burning. We're training again tomorrow. No more gentle approach. I want you to push me to the brink. He raised a brow. That can be dangerous. She bared her teeth in a fierce grin. I thrive on danger. Let's see if we can conjure that emotional surge. I won't hold back. Neither should you. She stomped off before he could protest. He sighed. This was one approach, forcing a life-or-death feeling. Could be reckless, but Caulifla's unstoppable drive might spark the transformation indeed. Kale quietly approached. You're worried about her? He nodded. Yes, but maybe it'll work. If things get out of hand, I'll intervene. Kale lowered her gaze. What about me? Should I try the same method? Naruto placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We'll find a gentler way for you. Caulifla's more brash, more direct. You're different. She smiled softly. Thanks. I'll keep practicing the emotional side. I have a feeling there's something inside me, just locked away. Again, no one spelled out how they valued each other's potential. The unspoken undercurrent was clear enough. Next dawn, they traveled to a deep canyon known for its isolation and thick stone walls, ideal for containing large blasts. Caulifla stretched, rolling her neck. Hit me with your best shot, Naruto. I want no mercy. He frowned. All right, but if it gets too dangerous. She cut him off. I'll handle it. Let's go. They faced off. Caulifla flared her base ki, already formidable. Naruto, in normal form, matched her with agile counters. They clashed across the canyon floor in a spectacular display of pure martial skill. But Caulifla hissed, more. I need to be cornered. So he escalated, weaving illusions to disorient her. She roared in frustration, lashing out at illusions that vanished. He pinned her momentarily, forcing her to break free with raw power. The dust clouds thickened. "You want me to push you to the brink?" Naruto shouted. "Fine." He powered up to about half his Super Saiyan level, though not golden. The shift in his aura was enough to overshadow her. Caulifla ground her teeth. "So strong, but I won't kneel." She hammered him with reckless combos, each punch trembling with suppressed fury. She took hits that battered her, blood at the corner of her mouth. Naruto sensed she was near her limit, but her eyes remained purely black, no shift to gold. He pressed harder, deflecting her strikes, delivering a punishing blow that sent her skidding. "Caulifla, yield or you'll get seriously hurt." She stumbled to her feet, trembling. "I refuse to yield, I can't lose." Tears of raw frustration welled, mingling with sweat. She unleashed a furious scream, an attempt to break that invisible barrier. For a split second, her aura flickered bright, hair rising. Naruto felt a jolt of anticipation, maybe she was about to transform. But the flicker died out. She collapsed to her knees, panting raggedly. No gold aura. Just exhausted. Naruto swiftly powered down, kneeling beside her. "Enough. You did well. But forcing it like this might not be the answer." She buried her face in her fists, furious tears sliding down her cheeks. "Why can't I break through?" He placed a hand on her shoulder gently. "It'll come in time. Super Saiyan can be triggered by different emotional extremes. Maybe pure rage isn't your key. We'll find another angle." She bit her lip, reluctant to show vulnerability. Finally, she nodded. "Fine, guess I need another approach." No triumphant speech or dramatic vow came. Just a quiet acceptance that she needed patience. Naruto helped her limp out of the canyon, while Kale gently offered her support. Kale, for her part, continued searching for her own impetus. She recognized that her insecurities often caused spikes of ki, as if a hidden beast within her wanted out. She confided in Naruto one evening, near a shimmering lake where they occasionally meditated. "I feel sometimes that I have monstrous power locked inside," she murmured, gazing at her reflection. While the patroller hadn't that much experience with her, he had heard a few brief mentionings of the girl having a variation, a legendary type. But he couldn't dump that knowledge on her. Instead, he spoke gently. "Having big power can be scary, but controlling it means acknowledging it. We can try a calm route like slowly building ki until you sense that threshold. Then harness it, piece by piece." She sighed. "I'd rather that than Caulifla's smash approach." He smiled, patting her hand. "We'll do it your way." They practiced a meditative method, combining Naruto's chakra control exercises with fundamental Saiyan ki manipulation. Over successive sessions, Kale found she could gather deeper wells of energy, her aura occasionally spiking greenish tints. But each time she felt that surge nearing a critical point, she'd shy away. No transformations emerged yet, but a quiet tension built within her, as though a dam might burst eventually. With the extremist threat largely contained, peace settled again. The reptilian clan, satisfied that the radicals were imprisoned or disarmed, further integrated with Saiyan society. Occasional scuffles flared, but no large-scale conflict loomed. Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale resumed daily missions, subduing petty criminals, assisting the Corps in rescue operations, or exploring the outskirts for new training grounds. Naruto carefully introduced them to more advanced ki shaping, teaching them how to funnel energy into stronger blasts without losing speed. All the while, Caulifla cast longing glances at Naruto's Super Saiyan feats whenever he demonstrated them in a controlled environment. She itched to replicate that gold hair, that unstoppable sense of power. Yet each attempt ended in frustration, her aura crackling but not tipping into transformation. Kale, on the other hand, found her aura flaring unexpectedly whenever intense emotion struck, like saving children from a falling structure, or seeing Caulifla in danger. In those moments, the glow around her turned wild. Naruto recognized the signs. She was on the brink of something akin to the berserk variation. He made sure to calm her, guiding her to breathe. No one declared we must transform right now. They let progress unfold organically. Just as things stabilized, news arrived of a small rogue planet drifting near Universe SIX's edge. Strange energy readings. The Scion Monarchy of Universe 6 requested volunteers to investigate. Commander Lapino roped in Naruto's trio, trusting their proven synergy. Speculation buzzed. Could it be a leftover artifact from some cosmic threat? Or an infiltration base for new enemies? The monarchy wanted answers. Naruto's instincts prickled. An unknown planet with weird energies often spelled timeline anomalies. They boarded a sleek Scion scout vessel, joined by a few core specialists. The flight out took a couple of days. Caulifla paced the cabin restlessly, complaining about the cramped quarters. Kale quietly studied star maps with curiosity. Naruto spent hours in mild meditation, maintaining a balance between his half-Scion energy and the latent time patroller knowledge. Finally, they dropped out of warp near the drifting planet, a small, rocky orb with swirling gray clouds. Sensors picked up unusual power signatures. They landed cautiously on a plateau of cracked black stone. Exiting the craft, they found a bleak landscape under a perpetual twilight. The air was thin but breathable for science. Naruto's senses tingled. Something felt off, a distortion reminiscent of time anomalies. Lapino's men scanned the area, muttering about flickering readings. Caulifla stepped on a patch of rock that crumbled, revealing a hidden catacomb entrance. Oops. Kale peered into the darkness below. That's not a normal cave. I see inscriptions on the walls. Naruto carefully approached, memory swirling. Sometimes hidden catacombs house timeline distortions or old villain labs. We should check it out, but carefully. They descended a rough-hewn staircase. The deeper they went, the more an eerie aura pressed in. Strange symbols lined the corridors, some resembling the cosmic oath runes, others alien. At last, they emerged in a large chamber where dark purple crystals jutted from the ground, pulsating faintly. Lapino frowned. What is this place? Naruto's eyes narrowed. Feels like some leftover of a cosmic event. Possibly tangential to the Oath's era. Suddenly, a swirling phantom image flickered across the crystals, glimpses of battles, monstrous silhouettes. Everyone tensed. The temperature dropped, and a low moaning wind whipped around them. One of Lapino's men yelped as an apparition lunged forth, a shadowy shape that battered him with intangible force. Caulifla cursed, rushing to help. More specters emerged, thrashing about. Naruto realized these might be temporal echoes, leftover energies from some ancient confrontation. Time patroller knowledge kicked in. Sometimes events left residual illusions or corrupted forms. They could harm the living if not neutralized. He summoned his aura, shifting to Super Saiyan. The golden glow fought back the gloom. Kale and Caulifla used normal ki blasts to dispel the shadows. Despite the swirling chaos, they formed a protective circle. One massive specter took shape, thrashing with monstrous limbs, reminiscent of a draconic shape. It roared in silent fury. Naruto soared up, hammered it with a golden charged Rasengan, dispersing half its form. Caulifla pelted it from below, while Kale provided covering blasts to keep smaller phantoms at bay. Eventually, the illusions dissolved under the combined onslaught, leaving the crystals drained of their eerie glow. The silence that followed was jarring. Lapino's men panted, in awe at Naruto's partial gold aura. The commander managed, we had no idea. This planet's some old war site. We must report back. Naruto powered down, still unsettled by the temporal echo presence. This was reminiscent of time patrol anomalies. He had never expected to see them in Universe 6, but apparently the threads of fate wove deeper. Caulifla let out a shaky laugh. We keep stumbling on big mysteries. That super form sure came in handy. Kale simply stared at Naruto, both awe and longing shining in her eyes. One day, I'll stand beside you in that kind of power. Naruto gave her a gentle smile, not needing to voice that he believed in them. The group carefully collected data from the crystals, hoping to glean the planet's history. Then they withdrew to the surface. Back on the scout vessel, en route to Sadala, the atmosphere was subdued. Caulifla scrolled through her personal device, beepizing the crystal data. So these illusions were echoes of an ancient monstrous force, sealed or destroyed ages ago. Possibly ties back to that cosmic oath era. Kale tapped her chin. It might confirm as the universe saw a vast war that ended in fractured alliances. The crystals are remnants of that dark power. Naruto exhaled. We averted a crisis by dispersing the illusions. No telling if more sites exist. But at least we gained insight. The Scions faced unimaginable threats before. That's part of why your cosmic oath with the reptilians formed in the first place. One afternoon, the three ventured into a lonely valley for more intense sparring. Naruto kept his power near base, letting Caulifla and Kale challenge him 2-on-1. Halfway through, a wild boar-like beast, mutated by leftover cosmic energies, charged onto the field, drawn by the fighting. Caulifla scoffed, "I'll handle it." But as she engaged, the beast released a jarring shockwave that pinned her momentarily. She coughed, struggling. Kale rushed in, alarmed. She fired a volley of blasts, but the beast endured, slamming her aside. Naruto cursed, moving to intercept, but then something changed. Seeing Caulifla pinned, Kale's eyes flared with raw fear. She roared. Her aura swelled bright greenish for an instant, hair lifting slightly. A pounding wave of energy erupted from her, enough to fling the beast away. Caulifla rolled free, breath hitching. Naruto recognized that near berserk spike. Kale hovered on the edge of transformation, eyes ringed with a primal fury. But she reeled it back, panting. The aura flickered out. No golden color, yet a sign of a unique potential. Sorry, Kale managed, tears forming. I almost lost control. Naruto eased over, placing a hand on her trembling shoulder. It's okay. You protected Caulifla. That might be your impetus. We'll refine it so it doesn't slip into chaos. Caulifla nodded. You nearly snapped that beast's spine. Next time, we'll let you harness it fully. The beast, dazed, tried to rise. Naruto swiftly subdued it with a minimal supercharged punch, ending the threat. Weeks unfolded. With the extremist reptilians subdued, the cosmic oath conflict largely resolved, and the illusions from that rogue planet dispelled, Sadala's daily hum returned to typical Scion life: training, honor duels, vibrant street culture. Some days later, while assisting the Corps in a routine mission clearing out leftover raider caches, Caulifla confronted a tough brute who cornered Kale. The brute nearly shot a lethal blast, and in that split second, Caulifla's protective fury soared. A bright flash, just a second, her hair flashed gold, aura spiking. She roared, landing a blow that flung the brute into unconsciousness. Then, it vanished, leaving her panting. Stunned Corps soldiers watched wide-eyed. Kale ran to her. Caulifla, your hair! Caulifla was breathless, trembling. Did it actually? Naruto, who'd arrived just as it happened, placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. Yes. A fleeting moment, but it was real. Super Saiyan. You tapped it. She stared at her normal black locks, frustration and excitement warring on her face. I couldn't hold it. Naruto gave her a soft grin. That's progress. We can refine it from here. Kale's eyes sparkled with pride for her friend. No one shouted in triumph. Instead, Caulifla quietly realized she was on the verge of crossing that threshold. Kale, too, found progress in her own way. Under Naruto's patient tutelage, she learned to slowly intensify her ki without letting fear trigger a berserk meltdown. Her aura glowed faint green at times, though not reaching the golden hue. She felt a deeper well stirring, but the path to controlling it was longer. One evening, after a calm session, Naruto told her about letting a balanced emotion guide the transformation, not just rage. Super Saiyan can come from righteous anger or strong resolve. If you harness love for your friends or the determination to protect them, that might be your catalyst. Kale listened, nodding. I do want to protect Caulifla and you. That's powerful. Naruto offered a kind smile. Then let that be your anchor. She quietly resolved to keep trying. A brisk wind swept through Sadala's capital city one early afternoon, ruffling the flags flying atop the imposing stone and steel battlements. High above the main avenue, Naruto Uzumaki stood on a wide balcony attached to the Scion Administrative Complex. He gazed across the city, noticing how training grounds bustled with Scions perfecting their martial forms, and how the marketplace bristled with lively commerce. Far in the distance, the green expanse of the countryside seemed tranquil, giving no hint of impending danger. He was pondering such matters when a deep, familiar voice cut through the background noise. Turning, he spotted Commander Lapino emerging from a corridor, expression etched with worry. The older Scion's normally confident demeanor was marred by tension. Uzumaki, Lapino greeted, crossing his arms, we've got a situation. There's talk of suspicious activity in orbit, strange signals we can't decode, and possibly sabotage attempts on our defense grid. Naruto felt a chill slip through him. Sabotage? By whom? Lapino shook his head. Not sure yet. But the sabotage rumor is from a credible source. We have automated weapon platforms and advanced scanners around the planet to detect large-scale invasions or asteroids. If those are compromised, we'd be wide open to a major strike. Naruto's grip on the balcony railing tightened. Then we need to confirm who's behind it. I can help check the grid, or discreetly track signs of infiltration. Lapino frowned. Yes. With your stealth abilities, you might catch them. I've also sent some of my top men to run diagnostics. If we find nothing, maybe it's a false alarm. But I'd rather not risk that. Naruto exhaled softly, scanning the city once more. Understood. I'll gather Caulifla and Kale. Let's see what we can do. Lapino nodded. Be cautious. If the rumor of a traitor is real, we can't trust everyone. With that, the commander strode away. Naruto lingered a moment, letting the seriousness of the matter sink in. A traitor? He silently hoped it was a misunderstanding. Later that day, Naruto convened with Caulifla and Kale in a more secluded corner of Sadala's labyrinthine streets, near a modest training yard behind a row of low-built houses. Sunlight glinted off the worn paving stones as Caulifla paced impatiently, itching for an excuse to flex. Kale hovered near the wall, her own inner well of potential still simmering below the surface. Sabotage in the defense grid? Caulifla echoed Naruto's words, scoffing. Someone on our side is messing with the planet's security. Makes my blood boil just thinking about it. Kale furrowed her brow, arms folded. How could anyone betray Sadala? Even the rowdiest among us wouldn't risk the entire planet's safety, right? Naruto nodded. Agreed. Let's split up. I'll scan the southwestern defense stations, you two check the eastern side. Keep your eyes open for odd tampering or suspicious behavior. Caulifla smirked. Finally, some excitement. Better than waiting around. Yet her playful tone couldn't hide the tension in her stance. They parted ways, exchanging subtle gestures of camaraderie. Each pair of footsteps carried a shared conviction that they'd protect Sadala no matter the cost. For hours, Naruto slipped through the corridors of key defense installations. Using stealth and illusions, he managed to access logs that hinted at irregular changes in the targeting systems. Circuits had been rerouted to bypass checks. No direct proof of who was behind it, but enough to confirm sabotage. Kale and Caulifla, in parallel, questioned low-level tech staff in the eastern stations. Caulifla's brazen approach rattled more than a few engineers who stammered about missing parts and strange reconfigurations they hadn't done. Kale quietly gleaned that someone with high-level clearance had demanded they keep quiet. By dusk, the trio regrouped in a secluded corner near Sadala's main thoroughfare. They compared notes, no name or face, but all the sabotage pointed to an upcoming large-scale infiltration. A quiet dread tugged at them. If an enemy planned to exploit these vulnerabilities, the entire planet's orbit-based defenses could fail at a crucial moment. "Let's tell Lapino everything," Kale urged, voice trembling slightly. "Yeah," Caulifla muttered, clenching a fist. "I'm itching to bust this traitor's teeth in before they get a chance to do real harm." Naruto stayed silent for a moment, scanning the star-flecked sky overhead. "We'll inform Lapino, see if he can corner the suspect. We must be ready for any sudden assault." They parted, hearts weighed by the sense that time was running out. The city's lights glowed warmly around them, seemingly oblivious to the storm brewing from within. That very night, alarms ripped through Sadala's quiet streets. Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale hurried to the main defense command center, following the shrieking klaxons. Inside, chaos reigned, consoles flashed red with error messages, soldiers rushed about barking frantic orders. Commander Lapino stood at a central holomap, brow furrowed with dread. "What happened?" Naruto demanded. Lapino gestured to a flickering overhead screen. "We've lost contact with half our orbital satellites. The few that remain active show a massive energy buildup somewhere beyond the planet. It's bigger than anything we've seen, like a planetary cannon charging up to fire." Kale's face paled. "A planet buster?" Caulifla slammed a fist on a console. "This is insane. Why now?" Lapino's voice shook with anger. "Because the traitor's sabotage finished. Our early warning systems are offline. We suspect an entire fleet or a hidden superweapon is powering up for a direct shot at Sadala." Naruto's eyes narrowed. "We have a planetary barrier, right?" Lapino grimaced. "It's not responding. Possibly sabotaged. We can't fix it in the next few minutes. If that beam hits, we might lose half the planet." A hush fell, broken only by the hum of emergency lights. Naruto's heart pounded. Scenes from past crises flitted through his mind, immense blasts leveling entire worlds. Goku, Vegeta, and others had deflected such beams in Universe 7's timeline. Now, the fate of Universe SIX's Scion home might hinge on him. He took a slow breath, stepping away from the consoles. "We might have only one chance. If I intercept the beam personally with a powerful wave, I can," he paused, swallowing his anxiety. "I can go Super Saiyan and try to match it." Caulifla blinked. "You mean that golden form you used in previous battles?" He nodded. "Yes. Still, it's the only immediate defense we have." Kale's eyes shimmered with fear. "We'll help you. Maybe combining blasts." Naruto shook his head. "I'll take the lead. The rest of you focus on stopping sabotage at ground level. If the enemy also tries an invasion simultaneously, we can't be caught off guard." Lapino's voice rose over crackling comm lines. "Sensors confirm the beam will fire in minutes. Hurry." Naruto clenched his fists. "All right, let's do it." Without further words, they dashed outside. Night's calm shattered by swirling sirens, the city's population cowered in fear, many gazing skyward with dread. Naruto soared to the top of Sadala's highest tower, Caulifla and Kale beside him. The two women braced themselves to provide any help they could, though they'd never encountered a cosmic-level beam quite like this. A red glow intensified above the atmosphere, swirling with malignant energy. In moments, a column of destructive force lanced down, easily kilometers wide, surging straight for Sadala's capital. The air crackled with oppressive heat. Naruto shut his eyes briefly, tapping into the well of power within. He let out a roar, hair snapping upward in bright gold. Energy enveloped him. Flames of gold danced around him. Below, Caulifla and Kale shielded their eyes from the sudden brilliance. They'd seen Naruto in this form but never facing such a monstrous threat. Drawing a ragged breath, Naruto shot upward, forming a swirling mass of ki in his hands. He launched a single colossal beam, meeting the planet killer halfway. Impact. The two beams clashed in midair, shaking the skies. A cataclysmic thunder boomed, rattling windows for miles. At first, he held his own, halting the destructive column's descent. But the enemy's power was staggering, each second pressing downward more forcibly. Naruto gritted his teeth, pushing more ki into the clash. Sparks of gold scattered, but the red beam inched closer to the city. Caulifla clenched her fists, cursing under her breath. She hurled blasts to bolster Naruto's wave, but they barely affected the unstoppable torrent. Kale tried the same from another angle, each small beam diffusing into the swirling storm above. Naruto roared, "I won't let you destroy them!" He funneled his raw fury, yet gradually felt himself overwhelmed. The oppressive force battered his arms. The gold aura flickered as he poured every ounce of energy in. It wasn't enough. The beam gradually forced itself downward. The scions of Sadala would perish on impact, including Caulifla and Kale. Desperation spiked within Naruto's chest. Memories of all he'd grown to care for in Universe 6. Kale's gentle encouragement, Caulifla's brash banter, the warm acceptance from Sadala, flooded his mind. He refused to let them die. Something deeper stirred in his spirit, a reservoir beyond normal super scion. He felt jolts of electricity spark around him, an intense heat swirling in his core. Pain coursed through his muscles, but also a new savage clarity. With a roar that shook the heavens, his aura crackled, doubling in brightness. Stray arcs of lightning danced across his golden silhouette, hair spiking further. In a burst of brilliant light, Naruto ascended to a new plateau, Super Saiyan 2. The power whiplashed up his beam, momentarily pushing back the planet-killing blast. An ear-splitting sonic boom thundered out. The entire city felt the surge, windows shattering anew. Caulifla and Kale shielded themselves from a wave of scorching wind. Naruto's eyes glowed with fierce, unwavering intensity. He unleashed this heightened might into his wave. The unstoppable enemy beam began to falter. Inch by inch, it was driven upward. Suddenly, it fragmented with a deafening crack, splintering into harmless trails of dissipating energy across the night sky. Victory! The lethal shot had been thwarted. Yet Naruto lingered in midair, aura raging around him. He'd poured his entire soul into that clash, surpassing Super Saiyan's boundaries. Now, as the last echoes of the beam faded, he felt his new power simmer dangerously. As the skies cleared, Caulifla and Kale rushed to Naruto's position. They found him floating unsteadily, arcs of lightning still flickering around his body. His face contorted in pain. This new form had drained him almost entirely. He hovered for another breath, then collapsed downward. Caulifla soared up, catching him in midfall, struggling under the weight of his trembling aura. She managed to land with him on a shattered rooftop. Naruto panted, golden sparks still dancing around him. Caulifla stared in awe at the swirling lightning. "Naruto, that was how?" He gave a weak, ragged grin, hair still in that advanced state. "I just couldn't let everyone die. Something inside me snapped." Kale landed next to them, eyes brimming with relief. "You did it. You saved everyone." But before they could truly rejoice, an urgent call crackled over Scouters. "All forces, an invasion fleet has emerged from orbit. The sabotage on our defenses is still active. Enemy ground troops are descending. The planet is under direct assault." Naruto's head jerked up, aura flickering. "They're attacking now, riding on that chaos. TCH. He staggered upright, still in Super Saiyan 2, but draining fast. His expression spelled grim determination. "Let's finish this." Within minutes, the night sky was ablaze with descending dropships. The city's battered defenders scrambled. Commander Lapino's voice echoed across comm lines. "Defensive squads, converge on the Capitol Plaza. The infiltration extends citywide. We must hold them off." Naruto soared from rooftop to rooftop, Caulifla and Kale close behind. Everywhere, beams and blasts illuminated the dark. Scions clashed with black-armored troopers whose insignia matched some unknown empire. Debris rained onto the streets. Fires sprouted along the horizon. Still reeling from the massive beam clash, Naruto found each movement a trial. His newly ascended form gave him raw strength, but the extended usage after the planet killer meltdown sapped his stamina. He tried to quell the lingering arcs of electricity, but it required concentration he couldn't spare. They touched down in the main plaza, where lines of Scion soldiers formed a frantic defensive perimeter. The enemy advanced in squads, lobbing powerful blasts that shook the ground. At their center, a tall figure in ornate armor prowled, likely the enemy leader. Naruto leapt into the fray, delivering devastating strikes that tore through enemy lines. Caulifla and Kale followed suit, harrying flanks. Yet more dropships arrived. The attackers' numbers pressed the defenders to the brink. "Focus on the leader," Caulifla hissed, her fists glowing with ki. "Take him out, the rest might falter." Kale nodded. Naruto only managed a grim grunt. He soared deeper into the chaos, forging a path toward the imposing figure orchestrating the assault. They found him near a partially collapsed structure. A tall, pale-skinned humanoid alien with 4 violet eyes with a sneering visage appeared, black armor etched with swirling red patterns. He eyed Naruto's crackling aura with calculated interest. "So you're the one who destroyed the cannon's beam. Impressive, but you look half dead now." Naruto's chest rose and fell in ragged gasps. He forced energy into his limbs. "Doesn't matter. We'll still drive you off. This planet's not yours to destroy." The leader chuckled, raising a hand. "We'll see how well you hold that fancy power." He unleashed a rapid volley of blasts that Naruto barely deflected, each impact jarring his exhausted body. Caulifla lunged to assist, but lesser troopers blocked her. She cursed, trying to break free. Kale engaged those troopers too, splitting attention. The leader pressed Naruto, each blow rocking him further. The prolonged usage of Ascended Super Saiyan after achieving it for the first was draining what little reserves he had left. "Admit it," the leader hissed, driving a punishing knee into Naruto's side. "Your strength is fading. Soon you'll collapse." Naruto hissed in pain, stumbling. Sparks flickered as he forced a punch that the leader narrowly sidestepped. A savage backhand from the alien hammered Naruto across the plaza, skidding to a stop in front of a smoking ruin. He coughed, aura dimming. Kale saw it, eyes wide with alarm. She tried to intervene but was pinned down by multiple foes. Caulifla roared, smashing through a trooper. "Naruto!" She sprinted across debris, heart pounding. Naruto tried to stand, arms quaking. The enemy leader advanced calmly, gathering an energy blade in one gauntlet hand. "You fought well," he mocked. "But a cornered star eventually goes out." He prepared to deliver a killing strike. At the sight of Naruto, battered and seemingly about to die, Caulifla's heart squeezed painfully. Scenes of their training, of them hanging out, his willingness to risk everything for her and Kale. She'd seen him push beyond mortal limits to save the planet from that beam. Now he was at death's door, powerless to stop the final blow. Something ignited within her, a scorching mix of desperation, rage, and grief. Yet the raw force of her emotions blazed higher than any normal Scion threshold. She unleashed a primal scream that shattered the night. "I won't let you take him from us!" Her ki erupted in a blinding column of gold. The ground quaked beneath her feet. Soldiers, friend and foe alike, paused in shock. Golden flames engulfed her form. Caulifla had unleashed Super Saiyan for the first time. Lightning crackled as her aura soared further, feeding on the heartbreak and fury. In an instant, the enemy leader turned, eyes widening. "Another one?" But Caulifla, consumed by her new power, stormed forward in a blur of gold. Her fist slammed into the leader's blade, shattering it with raw ki. He staggered, trying to retaliate, but she hammered him with a furious combo, each strike echoing like thunder. Naruto, slumped near the ruin, watched in disbelief as Caulifla shone with the radiant aura of a brand new Super Saiyan. Lightning arcs licked around Caulifla's golden aura as she battered the leader relentlessly. Struck by blow after blow, he tried to muster a defense but was overwhelmed. Her eyes burned with tears she refused to shed, fueling every strike with righteous anger. The leader coughed blood, forced onto the defensive. Where did you get this power? He choked. She hissed through clenched teeth, from caring about an idiot who'd risk his life for a planet that's mine to protect. Another crushing impact tore his armor plating. At last, the battered alien collapsed to his knees, aura flickering. Caulifla let out a roar, preparing a final beam of gold in her hands. Sensing imminent defeat, the leader triggered a hidden device on his belt. A small teleporter swirl formed behind him, threatening to let him escape. Before she could finish him off, the swirl expanded, enveloping him. With a bitter snarl, he vanished, presumably retreating into orbit with any surviving minions. Caulifla whirled, fists clenched, aura still raging, but her foe was gone. All around the capital, the invaders broke rank or retreated. The sabotage still hindered the planet's defenses, but with their main push repelled, the assault collapsed. Commander Lapino's squads pressed forward, capturing stragglers. In the battered plaza, Caulifla stood panting, eyes stinging with tears. Her first Super Saiyan aura flared, then flickered out. She dropped to her knees next to Naruto. He managed a shaky grin, hair reverting from SS2 to normal. Blood stained his clothes. You did it, Caulifla. You unlocked it. She took hold of his arm gently. You idiot, you almost died. I just snapped. Couldn't watch you go down like that. Kale rushed over, having subdued the last troopers in her vicinity. Her eyes widened, seeing the golden glow fade from Caulifla's form. Caulifla, you oh my gosh. Caulifla swallowed thickly, tears threatening. I'm good. He's the one who needs help. Naruto coughed a strained laugh. We'll both need medics. They helped each other limp to a safer area while core soldiers rallied around them. Overhead, the enemy ships fled orbit. Mission failed. Alarms gradually subsided, replaced by the moans of wounded, crackles of fires, and the buzz of triage units converging on the plaza. When the dust settled and the last sabotage devices were dismantled, Sadala's defenders let out collective sighs of relief. The traitor, exposed amid the chaos, was arrested, admitting to being an infiltrator from some empire that had bet on toppling Sadala's defenses. The planetary weapon fiasco had nearly succeeded if not for Naruto's defiance and Caulifla's last-minute transformation. Medics swarmed the battered city. Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale ended up in a makeshift field hospital near the capital's western gates. Despite injuries, they insisted on minimal rest, wanting to confirm no further threats lurked. Lapino found them there, face lined with weariness. You three saved us again. The sabotage, the weapon, it all came down to you intercepting that beam. I can't express our gratitude enough. Naruto, reclined against the crate, shook his head slowly. Just doing what needed to be done. That beam would have ended everything. Lapino's gaze shifted to Caulifla. And you, my men reported you transformed mid-battle, overcame the invasion leader. Another golden form? She nodded, wincing from bruises. It just happened. The commander patted her shoulder. We're lucky it did. Thank you. With that, he stepped away to coordinate further repairs. None of them needed to elaborate how crucial that moment was. Caulifla's new powers had turned the tide, saving Naruto and the city. During the next day, Naruto and Caulifla were confined to medical observation. Bruises, fractures, burns from overextended transformations. Kale hovered between them, assisting with small tasks and comforting them. The city outside buzzed with reconstruction efforts once more. Naruto found it strange to be lying still. He'd gone from blocking a cosmic cannon, to achieving a higher form, to near collapse. Caulifla, in an adjacent bed, tested the new transformation in small bursts, ignoring the medic's admonitions to rest. Quit trying to power up right now, Naruto teased, voice hoarse. You'll tear your bandages. Caulifla grunted. I want to see if I can tap that gold again, but it's elusive. The medics say rest, but I can't just do nothing. Kale pressed a damp cloth to Caulifla's forehead. At least wait until your injuries heal more. We almost lost you too. Her voice trembled slightly with leftover fear. A gentle hush settled among them. No one spelled out that they owed each other their lives. The closeness in their expressions said enough. That evening, once the medics cleared them to move about carefully, Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale gathered in a small storeroom near the city center, away from prying eyes. Flickering lanterns cast dancing shadows on the stone walls. Naruto stretched stiffly, wincing at a healing rib. We should talk about what happened. The sabotage, the beam, the invasion. Some large empire tried to wipe us out. They might come again. Caulifla leaned against a barrel. Then we train, get stronger. I unlocked that gold form once. Now I know it's possible, I'll refine it. I can't let you outdo me with your fancy second-level transformation. Kale nodded fervently. We can't be caught off guard again. If stronger foes appear, we need to be ready. Naruto turned serious. Right. My next step is to control the ascended stage without draining myself near death. And we'll help you stabilize your new transformation, Caulifla. Over the subsequent days, Sadala found a new normal. The monarchy replaced compromised defense systems, installed fresh orbital scanners, and further upgraded planetary shielding to guard against future attempts. Scion society returned to training, commerce, and daily life, though a lingering tension about external threats remained. Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale each juggled personal recovery with training sessions. Even battered, Caulifla insisted on pushing her newly discovered Super Saiyan, though it flickered unpredictably. Naruto offered guidance, gleaned from his experiences. Kale hovered with a watchful worry, half longing to find her own spark, half relieved not to face that emotional intensity yet. The monarchy, along with Commander Lapino, recognized the trio's indispensable role in planetary defense. Word spread that the city's best hopes for stopping cataclysmic beams or infiltration lay not in huge armies but in a few warriors who possessed or might unlock the gold transformations. Many scions whispered about these legendary powers, uncertain if they could replicate them. Nevertheless, daily life marched on. Markets reopened fully, families rebuilt homes, and children resumed playful martial drills in the streets. One crisp morning, Naruto strolled through a quiet sector of Sadala's capital. He paused near a collapsed building still under reconstruction, memories stirring of how that building had shielded some families from the final bombings. He felt a pang of guilt that he couldn't have saved them from losing their home. At least no major casualties happened, courtesy of the last-minute interception. Still beating yourself up? A familiar brash voice cut in. Naruto turned to see Caulifla approaching, arms crossed. He smiled faintly. Just reflecting. She shrugged. We can't fix everything. We saved the planet. That's not a small feat. Her tone held an edge, softness hidden behind bravado. Anyway, what's the plan? We keep training until we drop? He nodded. Yes. You saw how the enemy leader nearly ended me when I was spent from that beam. If we coordinate better, we won't get cornered so easily. She smirked. Coordinate, huh? Try not to hog the unstoppable hero act next time. He chuckled. They fell into a comfortable banter, silently acknowledging how close they'd grown. The day wore on, the city's sun climbing overhead, warming the streets. Another day of forging a path free from existential threats, for now. Afternoons found Caulifla and Naruto sparring lightly in an abandoned courtyard, with Kale observing and occasionally stepping in to test moves. Caulifla tried to trigger Super Saiyan intentionally. Sometimes she succeeded, but only for short bursts, each time exhilarating yet draining. Naruto used his base powers or standard Super Saiyan. He avoided shifting to SS2 unless absolutely needed, mindful that it still taxed him harshly, and was more keen on mastering Super Saiyan to limit the drain on his ki. Kale mostly remained in base, though Naruto saw flickers of intense ki in her eyes whenever Caulifla was pressed too hard. A protective streak, possibly hinting at a deeper well. If an emotional trigger arose for Kale, it might parallel Caulifla's outburst. Day by day, they refined stances, short-range blasts, and combined finishing moves. They formed a cohesive trio that meshed techniques from Saiyan brute force and Naruto's more cunning methods. One evening, as the gentle dusk settled, Naruto lingered at a scenic overlook with Caulifla. The rooftops spread below, torches flickering in the city's narrow alleys. A mild wind ruffled their hair. They rarely enjoyed such calm moments alone, but the day's training concluded successfully. Caulifla turned her gaze to him. "Can I ask, that day you took the brunt of that planet buster? You nearly died. If you really wanted to, you could have escaped. Why push so far?" Naruto's expression softened. "Because I won't let a place I've grown to care for vanish. I'd do it again if needed." She let out a quiet breath, eyes dipping. "Seeing you like that, helpless, I don't know, something in me snapped. That's how I got that form. I never want to feel that helpless again." He nodded. "I'm sorry it nearly ended that way. But it also awakened your power. We can keep each other safe going forward." Caulifla's usual brashness softened. Eventually, she punched him lightly in the arm. "Don't scare me like that next time, doofus." He smiled. "I'll try not to." They walked down from the overlook, the city's nocturnal hum enveloping them. The afternoon sky above Sadala gleamed a crisp, glassy blue that seemed to promise endless good fortune. Markets thrummed along sun-washed terraces. Cooks flipped sizzling cuts of rock beast over open flames while students in modest training gear joked about the morning's spar. At a fountain near the palace wall, a silver-haired veteran recounted an old war story to a semicircle of children, yet none of the kids looked frightened. They giggled when he swung his arms wide, splashing himself. In this age, war was a museum piece. Prosperity had become so normal that merchants now complained about boredom. Not enough pirates left to keep prices spicy, one vendor teased while polishing a stack of bronze fruit bowls. When someone mentioned frontier skirmishes, the vendor only shrugged. "That's why we pay our taxes, the Corps handles it." In public squares, recruiting posters displayed sleek armor and bright banners. Everyone could read the subtext: "Join the Peacekeeping Corps, see the stars, retire a hero." A little farther from the palace, however, that golden image lost some shine. Beyond the fountains and story circles, a cargo bay buzzed with hidden urgency. Caulifla crouched atop a freight crate, idle boot tapping the metal lid while she watched two juniors from her gang load ration blocks into a battered shuttle. Her cropped jacket was half-zipped against the chill seeping off coolant pipes. The back bore a stylized whirlwind logo painted by hand, not a printed crest. Every few seconds she flicked her eyes to the bay doors, as if expecting unwanted company. Beside her, Kale keyed a manifest tablet, soft brow furrowed. She confirmed the weight, then slipped the pad into her hip pouch. 62 crates, she murmured. That's 2 months of staples for Carnifex's outer settlements. Caulifla snorted. 2 months if nobody counts bite sizes. First thing Sadala'll do is starve M into obedience. We get this off-world tonight, or it never leaves at all. Kale adjusted her gloves. The Corps will call it smuggling. They can call it sky art if it makes them feel better. Caulifla hopped down, wiping coolant droplets off her sleeve. People on Carnifex asked for food, not pamphlets. Kale glanced toward the capital spires visible through the open roof slats. Naruto should be back soon. He promised extra cloaking seals. He'll show. He likes a good impossible deadline. Despite her sarcasm, a fond glow softened her eyes, then vanished when she noticed movement near the bay doors. 2 recruitment officers in polished armor strolled by, scanning cargo manifests. Caulifla lifted a crate lid, shielding the ration blocks from view. The officers paused, but she flashed an easy grin. They moved on, apparently satisfied. Kale let out a breath she'd been holding. Inside the royal citadel, several levels above the bustle, King Sadala read a slim report while pacing before a high, arched window. Tall for his age, with dignified streaks of silver at the temples, he wore a lightweight ceremonial armor, practical protection painted in velvet red and matte gold. He kept one gauntlet hand clasped behind his back. Across a long obsidian desk stood General Gypara, a broad, square-jawed scion whose scarred arms bulged against Blackfield's sleeves. Battlefield medals glittered down one shoulder strap like shrapnel caught in cloth. Beneath his calm facade flickered impatience. The king closed the report. Carnifex withheld 38% of its tithe. They claimed failing harvests justify a temporary pause. Gypara's reply was clipped. The charter gives them 6 weeks to petition. They're already 4 weeks late. Blockade, then? The king arched a brow, an invitation, not an order. Gypara's gloved thumb nudged the hilt of his dress sword. Your Majesty, frontiers test strength. Delay looks like doubt. We dispatch the 7th Fleet, seize orbital lanes, and freeze off-world trade until Carnifex remits payment. The king's gaze slid from the clouds outside to the officer's impassive face. Softly, a blockade punishes civilians first. Civilians who benefit from our patrols, Gypara countered. Given supplies, they might resist secession. Deprived, they pressure their leaders. It's clean pressure. The door hissed open. Naruto strode in, orange-trimmed jacket dusty from travel. He offered a quick half-bow. Apologies, Your Majesty. Cargo routes on the rim got rowdy. King Sadala's expression softened. Friend, I value field reports more than punctuality. What did you see? Naruto exchanged a nod of greeting with Gypara, formally polite, edges cool. Supply convoys on the rim complain about slow inspection choke points around Carnifex. Prices spiked. Folks there are anxious, but not hostile. Gypara inhaled as if bracing to speak, but Naruto continued. I shared a meal with a dock foreman. He thinks the tithe shortfall is half-truth, poor harvests, yes, but also a local council flexing muscle. The people are just caught between pride and hunger. Gypara folded his arms. Dock gossip doesn't replace hard law. We can't coddle secession. Naruto met his stare calmly. Feeding families isn't coddling. Sometimes food buys time to talk. A tense hush. The king's eyes moved from one man to the other. Then he turned toward the window again, an old habit when weighing extremes. General, draft a measured response. Patrol, not blockade, until we verify civilian need. He raised a hand before Gypara could protest. That is my order. Gypara bowed stiffly. As you will. His jaw worked, scarcely hiding displeasure. Orange dusk shadows cast lattice patterns across the cargo bay. Caulifla's patience frayed as departure slots ticked by. She checked her scouter, no sign of Naruto yet, then muttered, If Blondie doesn't show, I'll wing it blind. A quiet cough at her elbow. Naruto materialized, dusting off his sleeves. Bad traffic from the palace. Got what we need. He handed over a set of slim, metallic seals etched with swirling lines. Kale brightened. These interfere with orbital scanners? Enough to hide humanitarian freight, he confirmed. Won't beat a dreadnought sensors, but Gypara's teams use standard sweeps. Caulifla clasped a seal to her wrist, testing its weight. King still hugging the fence? King wants a patrol first. Gypara wants a stranglehold. We're between ideologies. Kale exhaled. Meaning we have a small window. Caulifla cracked a grin. Then we fly tonight. She clapped Naruto's shoulder. Nice timing, show off. He raised a brow. You worried? Her grin widened. I worry when I'm bored. Night swallowed the starport's outer bay. Floodlights clicked off section by section to conserve power. Caulifla's shuttle scavenged hull plates. Mismatched thrusters idled on silent turbines. Crews scurried, fastening seals inside the cargo hold. Naruto tweaked cloak arrays under dim portable lamps. Kale keyed departure codes. A young conscript in fresh armor ambled past. He paused near the ramp. Manifest check? His voice cracked with inexperience. Caulifla stepped forward, rolling shoulders. Routine relief supplies for Sarada 4. New medical colony. Low priority, cleared for night slot. The conscript scanned her datapad, frowned. These crates aren't labeled. Fresh pack rations. Short window, seal stamps cost extra. She shrugged with studied nonchalance. The youngster hesitated. Caulifla offered a lazy half-smile, half-dare. He blushed, cleared a throat, waved them on. When he left, Kale let out a soft laugh. I thought he'd faint. Caulifla winked. Uniform still shiny. Once the ramp sealed, engines hummed to life. Naruto settled into the co-pilot seat, eyes on the star-studded sky. Cloak stable? Stable, Kale confirmed. Caulifla slid the throttle. The hull vibrated, then smoothed as the shuttle slipped into the upper lanes. Below, Sadala's capital glimmered like a scatter of jewels. Above, space promised peril and possibility in equal measure. Naruto folded his arms behind his head. Next stop, Carnifex. Caulifla shot him a sideways grin. Let's bring them dinner and maybe a few fireworks if the core gets pushy. The shuttle vanished into the darkness, its faint ionic trail already fading. Behind them, the polished towers of Sadala stood serene, unaware that tonight's quiet departure would crack the planet's perfect facade. The trip to Carnifex took one long night and half a morning. Caulifla's patched-together shuttle broke cloak only after slipping behind the planet's smaller moon. From there she threaded a descent that would have broken lesser stabilizers. Naruto, in the co-pilot seat, watched the navigation board flicker as they skimmed a layer of static clouds. Under the haze, Carnifex looked raw. Brown mesas, dry riverbeds, scattered domes of agri-glass where colonists coaxed food out of stubborn soil. Dock Control hailed them on an old frequency. Kale answered, her voice an octave lower than usual. Relief shipment for the Southern Basin. Emergency clearance number K-Delta-9. The controller paused, then sighed a weary proceed. No one bothered with further scans. Hunger had a way of eroding protocol. They sat down on a cracked cement pad outside a storage coop. Workers in sun-bleached jumpsuits hurried forward, hopeful eyes darting to the shuttle's cargo ramp. When the first ration crates rolled out, a collective exhale rippled through the crowd, an audible easing of shoulders. No one cheered. Exhausted people saved breath for work. Caulifla hopped onto a crate as it trundled down the grav sled. Soup cubes today, real produce next time, she told an older foreman. He blinked back gratitude, then guided volunteers into a fast chain line. Naruto moved smaller pallets with gentle bursts of ki, mindful not to flaunt it. A cluster of children watched from behind solar barrels, whispering. He offered a brief wave. They giggled, scattering like birds. Kale double-checked manifests, slipping extra vitamin packs to a gaunt mother cradling an infant. The woman grasped Kale's wrist, just a fierce squeeze, then hurried off. Within an hour the hold was empty. Caulifla wiped sweat from her brow, scanning the sky. We should lift before patrols sniff the trail. They sealed the ramp and climbed aboard. Engines rumbled, dust plumed, and the shuttle punched upward through ochre clouds. Halfway home, the bee pit comm crackled with encrypted traffic. At first, only stray snippets cut through. By decree of His Majesty Naval Cordon all outbound lanes. Kale tuned the band. Full audio snapped into place. A clear, formal announcer's voice delivered the proclamation. Effective immediately, vessels operating within 12 million clicks of Carnifex are subject to interdiction and inspection. No cargo may enter or exit until the Planetary Assembly remits outstanding obligations. The 7th Fleet will enforce this blockade under direct supervision of General Gizpara. Naruto swore under his breath. Caulifla's fist tightened on the throttle. He got his blockade anyway. Kale's fingers hovered above the dial, as if turning it off might undo the words. We only just fed them. Supplies will last weeks, maybe. After that. Caulifla set her jaw. Not letting those kids starve because a gilded fossil wants tribute. She slid the shuttle into a darker lane, away from standard traffic. We need options. Naruto rubbed the stubble on his chin. First option, talk the king out of it before the fleet locks the cage. Caulifla snorted. You saw Gizpara. He'll chain the door, hand the key to the press, and smile. King's listening to him again. Then we shift public mood, Naruto replied. People on Sadala don't like the idea of civilians punished for politics. They just need to see it. Kale frowned. Show them what we saw, Mesa towns rationing water, children queuing for broth. Caulifla's eyes lit. A stream. Live. If we beam footage of troops shaking down settlers, anything that shreds Gizpara's clean pressure light, public sympathy flips. She swiveled in her chair to face them. But first we need proof the blockade's already hurting innocents. That means staying out here longer, Naruto said, and slipping through a tightening net. Caulifla's smile turned razor thin. I love a good race. Back on Sadala, the blockade order changed the city's rhythm overnight. Recruiting kiosks expanded into whole pavilions. Bright holos displayed warships cruising majestically above carnifex, framed by patriotic slogans. Young scions lined up, some eager for adventure, others nudged by parents who saw civic duty or steady pay in the Corps. Yet under the pomp, discontent brewed. In low-rent neighborhoods, old veterans muttered that conscription smelled like the monarchies of ages past. Vendors griped about shipping tariffs spiking again. A few posted anonymous screeds across the city's public net, blockade-starved children, not councils. The palace tried to stay ahead of rumblings. Ministerial summaries lauded the bloodless nature of the operation, not a single shot fired. They neglected to mention that Carnifex's orbital warehouses now sat sealed under 7th Fleet cannons. In bars where off-duty soldiers unwound, the talk split down uneasy lines. Half praised Gizpara for showing backbone. Half wondered why backbone required cutting trade to farmers. 2 days into the blockade, Caulifla's shuttle ghosted into a private berth on Sadala's industrial rim. The gang scattered the moment the ramp dropped, whisking ration manifests into hidden lockers. Naruto stayed behind to power down systems and wipe logs. Kale slipped into the city to scout mood. Caulifla strode toward her neighborhood's maze of alleys, jacket collar high. You couldn't smell tension, but she felt it, like ozone before lightning. Posters for the Corps glowed on every corner. Serve the king, secure the realm. Under one, a graffiti stencil read, secure a leash. She smirked. Outside their usual hangout, a gutted machine shop repurposed with couches and a jury-rig espresso boiler, her lieutenants lounged, watching a portable holoscreen. A recruitment commercial flashed, heroic music, stylized armor, triumphant cheers. When it ended, an announcer's voice promised bonuses for early enlistment. A gang member named Reagan clicked the holo off. They're sweetening pay grades every 8 hours. Might run out of wallets before they find enough warm bodies, he said. Caulifla leaned against the doorway. Velvet chains. Pays good, so you don't notice, they welded the link. Another kid jacks, all elbows and bravado, shrugged. Some folks crave chain polish. My cousin signed yesterday. Lucky for him. Her tone suggested the opposite of luck. Crew, we're dropping off grid a few days. Keep radios low. The Corps will hunt smugglers soon. Reagan raised a brow. We smugglers now? When feeding people's a crime, sure. She handed him a data pad. Backup routes, supply caches. Passcodes change nightly. They accepted orders with grins. If the Corps called this treason, fine. Few things excited Caulifla's gang like ducking authority. That evening, district loudspeakers crackled, mandatory census for defense readiness. Caulifla rolled her eyes. She, Kale, and Naruto convened in the machine shop loft, sifting intel. Through open shutters they saw 2 armored officers at the end of the block, knocking door to door with clipboard holograms. Naruto glanced sideways. They'll come here. Caulifla tapped a wrench rhythmically on her knee. Let him. When the officers reached the gang's entrance, Reagan waved them in. Caulifla descended the spiral stairs with deliberate slowness. The lead officer, a clean-shaven man hardly older than Caulifla, recited a script, per royal directive. All able fighters not currently enlisted must report for service or undergo skills evaluation. Caulifla crossed her arms. Appreciate the invite, but I already have a squad. The second officer scanned her. Gang leadership qualifies as command experience. Feels more like babysitting, she said, deadpan. They slid a datapad toward her. Sign here to acknowledge assessment scheduling. Caulifla didn't touch it. We're busy. Service isn't optional. Reagan tensed. Kale, from the landing, bit her lip. Naruto, leaning against the support beam, lifted a hand placatingly. These folks provide relief routes. The Corps could use that kind of logistics knowledge outside strict enlistment. The lead officer offered a tight smile. We appreciate citizen insight, but orders stand. Caulifla's gaze flicked to Kale. You okay? Kale managed a small nod, but her hands shook slightly on the railing. Caulifla turned back to the officers. Her next words came soft, almost polite. Your orders from who? General Gizpara. Got it. You tell Gizpara Caulifla's gang is busy stopping starved kids from turning pirate. She handed the datapad back unopened. We pass on the gilded cage. The lead officer's jaw twitched, but he pocketed the pad. Refusal noted. They left without further threat for now. Outside, Caulifla exhaled. Velvet chains, she repeated, voice low. Kale descended slowly. We just painted a target on ourselves. Naruto closed the loft shutters. We were targets the second the food drop left orbit. He tossed a pouch of encryption chips onto the table. So let's plan step 2, shows Sadala what blockade mercy looks like. Over the next 36 hours, recruitment broadcasts intensified. Market stall holos offered enlistment sign-ups next to menu boards. Join the 7th, get meal vouchers for your family. Some hailed it as patriotism, others, price gouging in disguise. Caulifla's gang slipped between supply depots, filming interviews with returning freighter crews who described checkpoints that stripped them of medical supplies destined for carnifex. Naruto patched the footage together, clipping superfluous commentary so images spoke louder than words. Open crates of confiscated fluid, weary pilots denied passage, a corridor of station workers sleeping beside sealed cargo because they couldn't afford docking fees. They kept Caulifla off camera, focusing on raw, unfiltered scenes. Reagan uploaded the first cut to Sadala's public grid under an anonymous tag. Blockade Day 3, clean pressure? Views climbed by the hour. Mainstream commentators tried spin. One anchor asserted, temporary inconvenience today means stability tomorrow. But a clip of Carnifex children waiting for powdered milk outviewed the anchor segment 3-1. Among palace staff, whispered briefings reported narrative slippage. The king listened, brow furrowed. Gizpara dismissed numbers, sentiment swings. Resolve doesn't. On the city's largest concourse, a silent protest formed, scions lining the avenue shoulder to shoulder, holding nothing but blank placards. No slogans, just quiet rows. Police watched, uncertain silence was not yet illegal. Evening found Naruto strolling beneath lantern strings in an older district, hood up. A woman tending a dumpling cart beckoned him over. She'd recognized him from an earlier food drop. With a conspiratorial nod, she handed him a sack of steaming buns. For Carnifex, she whispered. Her eyes shone defiance. He bowed slightly, moved on. 2 stalls down, a smith hammered metal studs into riot shields. Orders from Corps, he muttered to no one in particular. Says peaceful protest won't last. Can't stop forging if they pay. His expression, however, suggested the shields might carry microscopic flaws. Naruto's scouter chimed. Reagan on a secure channel. Boss wants everyone back at the shop. She's planning something big. Naruto quickened pace. Above him, recruitment posters glimmered in neon light. One featured stylized heroes raising a royal banner. Someone had spray-painted a question mark over the word heroes. The mark was fresh. Back at the machine shop, Caulifla hunched over a hollow rig, splicing feeds. Kale adjusted pin microphones, her usual gentleness replaced by crisp efficiency. Reagan pointed at a crude map, troop staging zones, satellite signal repeaters, choke points. Caulifla looked up as Naruto entered. We stream tomorrow. Live. From Blockade HQ. She tapped a flashing segment on the map, a fleet logistics node perched on Sadala's nearest moon. They rotate crews. Lowest security window is dawn 4th watch. We slip in, collect footage, slip out. And she brought up an overlay, leave a surprise subfeed broadcasting to every major news channel. No edits, no spin. Naruto scanned the plan. Risky. Crew rosters update hourly. She shot him a half smile. Good thing we're quick on our feet. Kale slid him a comm ring no bigger than a coin. Encrypted to my console. If anything changes, whisper twice. Naruto pocketed it. King won't ignore live footage of his own blockade. That's the point, Caulifla said. Show him what Jispara's clean pressure costs before something uglier sparks. Outside, distant sirens wailed routine for a growing city, yet tonight they felt like an omen. The trio checked gear, loaded fresh batteries, and limbered knuckles. Dawn 4th watch sat only a handful of hours away. Planet Rise painted the blockade moon in a thin silver band when Caulifla's shuttle slid out of eclipse. No transponder ping, no NAV lights, just a low, steady hum softened by suppressor seals Naruto had inked along the throttle housing. He hunched at an auxiliary console, fingers resting on a compact jammer wrapped in paper charms. Kale crouched behind the pilot seats, headset tucked under her hood, a sensor thread of chakra running from her wrist seal into Sadala's public net. When the time came, that thread would yank tonight's truths straight into every news slate in the capital. A customs frigate loomed ahead, running lights bright as street lamps against the charcoal horizon. Beneath its shadow squatted the 7th Fleet's logistics node, half depot, half barracks, just stacked cargo rings and open-frame fuel tanks around a short tower bristling with dishes. Shift change should roll in 2, Kale whispered, eyes half-lidded as she listened to distant comms through the seal. Caulifla eased the shuttle toward a blind spot behind a fuel silo and killed what little thrust remained, letting inertia carry them. 30 seconds till the yard lights sweep, she murmured, hands loose, casual, like she was docking at a back alley garage instead of a military hub. Naruto pressed 2 fingers to the jammer's charm. On your mark. At his touch, the seals warmed. Static washed the comm grid and status lights blinked as cameras hiccuped. Mark, Caulifla said. Reagan, Jax, and Quiet Sola popped the ramp and dropped into the moon's weak gravity. Cloth and leather barely rustled. Naruto followed, cloak seals fluttering like ribbon at his ankles. Kale came last, a palm-sized transmitter riding snug under her arm, its casing etched with a simple locking array. Reagan's forged access chit found the reader. Naruto fed a whisper of chakra into the slot and smoothed its imperfect edge. The airlock sighed open on a corridor dimmed to amber for night's cycle. No one spoke. The only sounds were filtered breath and the distant thrum of life support. At a junction, Naruto pointed left. Armory hugs the outer ring. Ignore it. Server cores starboard. Caulifla flashed him a quick, feral grin. Copy. You do the brain surgery. I'll keep us off the chart. Her voice had the easy swagger Naruto had come to expect. Kale's focus was quieter still, her shoulders steady, mouth set, the way of someone who'd learned how to be a censor when she used to be a wrecking ball. They slipped through a side hatch and froze. A cavernous cargo bay opened, confiscated crates 3 stories tall, stamped Carnifex exports. Hold. Pallets of nutrient paste, medical gauze, water filters, the blockade's silent casualties stacked like bricks. Under a solitary flood lamp, 2 young scion corporals shared stale coffee, boots up on a crate. One eased a stim tab under his tongue. Reagan leaned close, voice barely air. Must be nice guarding groceries from kids. Kale lifted her transmitter and captured 5 seconds of silent footage. Caulifla tapped her wrist cam, its red dot smothered under a strip of matte tape. They ghosted on, using the stacked cargo as cover, until a low thrum bled through the deck the server bay behind the next bulkhead. Inside, chrome racks blinked azure. Naruto slid to a console, uncapped a coil of lacquered wire, and clipped it to the port. Seals on the wire's insulation brightened. Live traffic rolled onto his display, freight logs, inspection scans, routing commands, all wrapped in fleet encryption. Reagan took the doorway, blade reversed along his forearm. Jax crouched by a maintenance panel, whispering an exit code into the hub's auxiliary. Caulifla drifted toward a narrow viewport that looked down on a detention block. 3 Carnifex stalkers sat on a bench below, wrists mag-cuffed. A medic took vitals without lifting his eyes. Camera drones bobbed and hummed. Caulifla zoomed in as a soldier shoved a water pouch with his boot instead of handing it over. Her jaw set. She didn't speak. She just kept filming. Naruto's brows knit. "I've got routine pings to palace servers and something off to the side." He scrolled. Hidden branch labeled Protocol I-9. Redirects a slice of fleet telemetry to an off-net address. Mask reads like Jaspara's comm ID, but the packets hop through burners. Kale leaned over his shoulder, hands braced on the console, voice low. "Sabotage hooks?" "Smells like it. Could be an auto shutdown, could be a remote blast. Not tripping it to find out." He rolled the code fragment into a storage charm, folded it once, and slid it into his vest. Sola unlatched a ceiling panel. Kale climbed the rack like a cat and seated the transmitter's repeater inside, then smoothed a small seal over its power port. Countdown set. "When it hits 0, we open every public channel on Sadala and let the cams speak for us." Reagan peeked into the hall. "We've got 5 minutes before the next patrol loop." They retraced their path toward the cargo bay. A sudden wail split the quiet, shrill, strobing scarlet. Somewhere near the flight line, someone had brushed the wrong sensor. Boots pounded through vents. "Patrol's early," Naruto said. "Move." They hit the cargo bay threshold just as 3 troopers poured in from the opposite door, stun batons out. "Identify," the lead barked. Caulifla stepped into the light, palms raised just enough to aim eyes away from Kale. "Freelance loaders," she said, all breezy confidence. "Scheduling got real creative." His scouter chimed. Caulifla's warrant flashed across his lens. His mouth flattened. "Down. All of you. Or we can talk like," Caulifla's sentence cut to motion. She slid under his baton, popped up inside his guard, and drove a short strike into the floating ribs. He folded with a breathless grunt. The second trooper swung high. Caulifla caught his wrist, turned it, and stepped in behind, a clean, quiet Kazushi, then tapped a nerve at his neck. He sagged against the crate with a soft clatter. The third raised a sidearm. Naruto was there, palm blurring, thumb on the release. The power cell clicked free. He caught the trooper's wrist, rotated, and pressed 3 fingers to a cluster of nerves below the ear. The man blinked twice and went boneless. "Nobody dies tonight," Naruto told the last trooper as he lowered him to the floor. Reagan let out a thin whistle. Subtle as a thrown kunai. Sirens climbed another pitch. Above, Kale's repeater light flickered, live. The feed was already leaping onto the net. "Pakagi is out," Kale breathed, relief and fear braided together. "Time to vanish," Naruto said. They ducked into a maintenance conduit that spilled them out behind the depot's fuel tanks. Dock lights brightened, search beams combed the landing grid. 2 sentries prowled near their ramp. Caulifla looked to Naruto. He touched 2 fingers to his temple. "Veil," he said, and wove a light gain jutsu across the sentry's sight lines, just a nudge, a shimmer that made shadows seem a step to the left. The breath it bought was all Caulifla needed. She vaulted a crate stack, rolled behind them, and clapped stun cuffs on both before their brains finished insisting nothing had moved. They scrambled aboard. Jax fell into the pilot's seat and punched emergency thrust. The shuttle leapt off the deck a heartbeat ahead of the flak turrets. 3 blasts licked the stabilizers enough to rattle molars, not enough to break anything vital. Cloak, Naruto called. The suppressor seals fluttered back to life. The shuttle faded and skimmed the crater rims till the depot lights shrank to glitter. They broke the moon's calm shadow as sunrise painted Sadala's upper atmosphere. In kitchens, canteens, and factory floors, headlines stuttered and vanished, replaced by raw video, scion corporals lounging while rations stacked high, Carnifex dockers cuffed on benches, a child twirling an empty tube while soldiers loaded full pallets onto fleet barges. No narration. No soundtrack. Just time-stamped footage rolling uncut. Comment feeds detonated. Angry icons swarmed. A palace press aide tried to overwrite the broadcast. The repeater hopped channels and kept going. 10 minutes of indictment ran before the authorities wrestled the net back. In the Royal Communications Chamber, advisors glanced at each other and didn't know whether to busy their hands or still them. King Sadala watched the last frame freeze on the child's tired face. He let the silence sit until it grew heavy. General Deepening strode in, cloak snapping like a banner. "Sire, we traced the feed to Caulifla's cell. Treason on record. Authorize immediate capture with full latitude." The king didn't look at him yet. Why was food warehoused instead of distributed to contracted settlements? His voice wasn't sharp. It didn't have to be. "Operational surplus awaiting clearance," Gizpara said smoothly. "Children wait for clearance as well?" the king asked, the same way a surgeon asks if the pain started this morning or last spring. Gizpara only hesitated for a second, but in that room a second echoed. "We'll review procedures. In the meantime, bring me an audited supply ledger by dusk," the king said, finally turning. "Not a presentation. A ledger." Gizpara bowed. The annoyance that flickered across his face before he straightened told the room more than his words had. "As you command." By midday, every corridor panel flashed wanted for interference with national security over Caulifla's ID slate. Reagan and Jax raided minor bounties. Naruto and Kale were persons of interest, which sounded like a shrug until you noticed how many patrols were suddenly checking corners. Recruiting kiosks turned into checkpoints. People walked a little tighter, spoke a little softer, and watched the nearest screen like it might bite. At the machine shop, they stripped anything that wasn't bolted down or sentimental. Caulifla slung a duffel across her shoulder and ran her thumb over a notch in the strap. "We scatter till sunset," she said. "See BP tunnels after that. Don't get heroic alone." Hands found hands for a squeeze and then let go. Bodies slipped out into alleys in ones and twos. Naruto lingered by the bench, turning the folded charm with Protocol I-9 between his fingers. "The broadcast rattled the pot," he said. "Gizpara still owns the kitchen. He'll turn up the heat." Caulifla looked up at him through messy bangs that had defied every tie she'd tried. "Then we flip the stove and make him chase cold coals." The smile she gave wasn't for fun. It was for focus. Kale secured a mini projector inside her coat and checked that her C-Link still hummed. "Comments are clustering hard," she said. "People aren't just angry, they're arguing with each other about what protect is supposed to mean. If we keep feeding proof, that argument shifts." Naruto slid the charm across the bench. "And this? Gizpara's cooking more than blockades. The code reads like a handshake into the flagship's nav might be his trigger. Can't see the payload yet." Caulifla went still. "Then we find the hand he plans to use and bite it." "The flagship docks tomorrow for inspection," Kale said, flipping through the schedules she'd pulled down the line. "General boards at midday with techs." Naruto exhaled. Risk. Reward. The same scale he'd weighed since he'd been a kid sneaking past drunks in ANBU. "Opportunity," he said. "We go clean. No fireworks unless it's about to blow." Caulifla's eyes brightened. "Front row seats to the general tripping on his own blade. I'll bring popcorn." Kale snorted, the sound small and real. I'll bring the part where we don't die. Across Sadala, conversations bent around the footage like water around rock. In a corner bar, two fresh recruits watched a replay loop on the holoslate above a dusty bottle shelf. You think it's fake? The first asked, not quite ready to pick a side. Looks real to me, the second said. And even if someone staged it, who stages empty cupboards? So what, we end the blockade because a few settlers miss lunch. A few? The second tapped the hollow menu. That kid's ribs looked like tally marks. We signed up to protect people. That's still on the brochure? At a warehouse, loaders paused by a truck bed screen. My cousins wear fleet gray, one said, arms folded. They wouldn't treat cities like that. Maybe orders changed, another murmured. No one answered that. Near curfew, Naruto dropped through a maintenance hatch into the sea beep tunnels. Water hissed under grates. Echoes turned quiet sounds into companions. 3 whisper lamps drew pale circles across damp concrete. Caulifla sat cross-legged on a pipe, sharpening a vibro knife with a slow, even stroke. Kale hunched over a data pad, triangulating docking windows, brow furrowed in that way she had when she decided to be brave on purpose. Naruto unrolled a rough blueprint of the Radiant Spear. Primary AI core sits under the main turbolift. Protocol I-9 uses NAV authentication. D's power needs skin to metal to make his code handshake. Then we keep his hand off the metal, Caulifla said, twirling the knife once and sheathing it. Reagan's cooking passes that say we're audit techs. We'll wear faces to match. Henge as our first layer, Naruto agreed. Paper as backup. Kale eased a breath out. We get in with a mid-shift. Cameras love clipboards. We tail Geetpower to the core, record his handshake, and pull the fuse before it bites anyone. Then we send it live. No edits. No narration. The king won't be able to file that under procedures, Naruto said. They fell quiet, listening to water and distant traffic and their own hearts. Outside, searchlights crawled across rooftops. In the tunnel, resolve settled. Mercy moves faster than fear, Caulifla said, almost to herself. Naruto met her eyes and nodded. You could teach stances and seals. You couldn't teach that line and mean it. Kale lifted her chin, a small, stubborn yes. Sunrise drew a thin coral seam across the royal dry dock as 3 civilian shuttles slid through the magnetic gates. Fresh stencils on the hulls, gray inspection smocks on every back. Security had prepped for clipboards and complaints, not a fight. On Shuttle 3, Caulifla tugged the brim of a borrowed cap down over her wild hair until the docking arm thunked home. All right, she said, grin crooked, voice low, masks on. Let's go make some paper pushers sweat. Kale sat beside her with a data slate tucked to her chest, the glow painting her cheekbones. Clearances are loaded, she murmured, steadying her breath. If anyone scans deeper than level 2, I can reroute them for a minute. Naruto stood at the hatch, Junior Systems Tech blinking on his clipped badge. Up close the numbers swam a little from the cloaking ink, just enough to make a scanner pick the path of least resistance. We move clean, he said. No heroics unless we must. The Radiant Spear's reception deck gleamed like a showroom floor. Polished alloys, banners with King Sadala's crest, tool carts humming under vaulted ceilings. The gaunt quartermaster barely looked up when Kale offered the slate. Inspection team, she said, polite, not meek. Deeper code audit. Shouldn't take long. He grunted, stamped the pass, waved them toward the lift. No retina checks. No fuss. The paper trail was beautiful. Inside the lift, Caulifla blew out a breath and bumped Kale's shoulder with the brim of her cap. See? Easy. Don't let M catch you apologizing for being good at this. Kale's mouth tugged into a small smile. I'm not apologizing. I'm planning contingencies. Naruto popped a tiny jammer behind the panel. For the next 10 minutes, the floor they wanted didn't technically exist. Buy us what we need, he said, and the doors parted on deck 14. Sterile corridor. 2 real techs with clipboards came the other way. Caulifla gave them the bored nod of someone on her 5th audit of the week, while Naruto knelt, opened a wall junction, and tucked a wafer cam inside. The feed jumped to Kale's slate, angles, thermal marks, motion loops. Everything that might look at them was now momentarily looking away. Gizpara hits the core in 3, Kale whispered, eyes flicking over schedule sheets scraped. He meets his hand-picked squad right at the hatch. Caulifla twirled a stylus like it might suddenly be a knife. Great. I've been dying to see if the legend's taller in person. At the core approach, 10 troopers waited in stiff lines. General Gizpara came out of the lift with that clipped stride people practice in mirrors, cloak skimming polished deck. No horns or fanfare off-schedule inspection. He traded curt nods with the tech chief, took a thin code cylinder, and keyed open the titanium hatch to the ship's heart, where a lattice of light-braided navigation, shields, and guns into a single will. From behind a crate stack, Kale's microcam tightened on his hands. Caulifla's whisper brushed Naruto's ear. Hold the stream till he starts cheating. Naruto slid a sound blanket disc to the bulkhead, dampening their footfalls without dulling the room's voices. They listened. Systems nominal, sir, the tech chief said. Not for long, Gizpara replied, and slotted the cylinder. The hollow lattice bled to red. Protocol I-9 scrolled down the spine of the column. No shutdown, not yet. A quiet rewrite, sliding a shadow command under the kings. On a remote signal, shield power would pour into primed warheads. Naruto's voice was a thread. He's wiring the spear to aim at its own crown. Kale tapped a countdown on her slate. 15 seconds to live, she breathed, and the tremor in her voice wasn't fear so much as fury she was learning to hold. Caulifla's jaw flexed. He starves kids to look tough, and now he wants to blow up the boss who hesitated. She shook her head. Trash. The slate hit 3-2-1, live. Across Sadala, feeds flipped. Gizpara's face, red-lit by treason, filled home screens and breakroom slates. Half a minute in, a trooper glanced at his wristcom and swore. General, external feed. Gizpara turned cold and incredulous. Lock signals, he snapped. A comtech hammered a console. Naruto's phantom status kept everything reporting green. Troopers fanned out and saw 3 gray-smocked nobodies where no one should be. Caulifla stepped into the open with her hands up just to chest height and a smile that never apologized. Yo, General. You really should have sent an invite. I'd have brought snacks. Recognition hit like a conduit spark. Arrest them. Naruto didn't reach for a weapon. You're live, he said, calm as a metronome. All of it. Gizpara moved anyway. Steal his free. Caulifla cut him off, palming his shoulder and shoving him back a step like he'd drifted into her lane. 2 troopers lunged. She slipped between them with that hungry, delighted energy she wore when a fight finally justified itself. An elbow popped a chin guard. A heel hooked an ankle. They went down in a tangle of armor and pride. Kale ducked behind a console with the slate hugged tight. Stream stable, she said, then for herself as much as for them, we've got this. Gizpara's blade flashed. Naruto slid under it, wrapped forearm taking the scrape instead of ribs, and turned the wrist without sparks or drama. Loyalty isn't fear, he said, and pushed the point aside. In bars and training halls, people watched a general try to kill a kid on the king's ship while code glowed crimson behind him. They watched a black-haired girl in a cap move like a knife with a grin, and a tall, quiet blonde redirect a sword like he'd rather talk than bleed. Caulifla snagged a stun baton off the deck and spun it like a staff. Heads up, she sang, sweeping the last cluster of troopers' legs. One panicked and yanked a sidearm. She flicked the muzzle toward the ceiling with a quick tap. The bolt scorched paint and pride, nothing else. Gizpara punched an emergency command with his free hand. The AI core thrummed. Protocol I-9 ramped toward execution. Red lines multiplied. Kale's head snapped up. Manual failsafe top of the column. I see it. Caulifla sprang. 2 steps on the railing, a catch of fingertips on a maintenance strut, and she was there. The lever had the stubborn feel of something waxed in case of fire and never touched. She bared her teeth and hauled. The deck gave a deep, throat-low thud as power shunted back to shields. Red collapsed to blue. For a breath, silence held, then alarms wailed that weren't Naruto's work. Reinforcements thundered down both ends of the corridor. But across the planet the footage was already being clipped and replayed. Jispara's cylinder, the sword, the lever catching and giving, Caulifla's boots thumping back to deck, Kale's, it held, on a shaky exhale that 1,000 people would quote in comment threads. A grizzled captain skidded in with a fresh squad, palm pressed to an earpiece. Stand down, he barked. Royal signal inbound. His eyes flicked to Naruto, to Kale, to Caulifla balancing her baton across her shoulders. Protect those 3. Secure the general alive. Caulifla hopped off the strut and tossed the baton aside like the fight had been a stretch after a long car ride. Naruto peeled the jammer off the wall. Lights eased from red to amber. Kale watched her slate flash stream terminated, archive saved, and finally let her shoulders sag. Gizpara, disarmed and ringed by troopers whose faces couldn't quite agree on what they felt, looked at Naruto like he was reading an insect under glass. You trade edge for mercy, he said, voice even. Mercy makes dull blades. Naruto shook his head. Mercy makes sure you're cutting the right thing. Caulifla snorted. And right now you're the thing. Kale, softer, but not backing up, added, people saw you. All of you. He didn't answer. He didn't have anything left to sell. They kept the follow-up clean. No parade. No speeches. By mid-morning a cut-down court filled the war chamber. Senior command, 3 justiciars, the king. The viral clip rolled on a silent loop behind the dais. Words would have only gotten in the way. Gizpara didn't bother denying it. A kingdom built on softness can hold a line, he said, like he'd been practicing it in the mirror longer than his march. King Sadala's reply was gentle and heavy as a hammer. You forget who holds it. He unpinned rank and seal with 2 precise motions. No flourish. No sneer. Exile. Beyond Sadala's protection. Gizpara took the verdict like a man who'd run the numbers and told himself he'd win the long game somewhere uglier. The troopers who escorted him out wore a mix of looks, reluctant respect from a few, relief from most. In the hallway, Caulifla tipped her cap back and exhaled the tension she pretended didn't exist. Not bad for inspection day, she said, nudging Kale with a shoulder. Kale's smile was small and warm. You were amazing on that lever. You were the one who saw it, Caulifla shot back. You keep doing that, sis is gonna start meaning brains, not big sister. Kale ducked her head, pink at the ears, pleased anyway. We did it together. Naruto looked past them toward the chamber doors. This brought hope, he said. Doesn't end the hunger on its own. Caulifla's grin thinned into something sharper. Then we go again. Different target, same rules. Make 'em look at what they don't want to see. Kale tucked the slate under her arm and squared her shoulders in that quiet way she'd learned from both of them. I'll start pulling the threads, she said. You kick what needs kicking. Deal, Caulifla said, and slung an arm around her. But next time? I'm picking the caps. This one itched like crazy. Kale laughed, bright and surprised, and the sound ricocheted down the palace hall like a promise. On Sadala's widest boulevard, citizens spilled from cafes to hola towers replaying the edited highlight, Caulifla yanking the failsafe, Naruto blocking a killing stroke. Spontaneous cheers broke, not rowdy, more like a collective exhale. Young recruits still queued at kiosks, but some cut their place to rewatch the clip, brows furrowed. At a veterans clinic, an elder scion turned off his scouter mid-loop. Mercy, he muttered, lips curling into something like a smile. That night, back at the half-lit machine shop, Caulifla sat on the battered couch, ankles crossed on a crate. Kale scrolled social feeds. Hashtag #failsafefist trending. Naruto leaned against the support beam, arm freshly bandaged. Reagan placed 3 foam cups of synth coffee on the tool bench and whistled. Whole planet watched you two dance. Streets buzzing. Caulifla sipped, grimaced at the taste. Buzz fades fast. Carnifex still starves if the blockade stays. King's already walking it back, Naruto said. He'd overheard palace channels, interdiction downscaled to customs checks. First relief freighter cleared to depart next dawn. Kale closed her slate. Public boards lit with requests for independent mediators. They want somebody who can talk and punch. Caulifla's brows rose. They learning. A triple chime crooned from Naruto's wrist-com royal code. He answered. King Sadala's measured voice emerged. Envus, attend the palace at first light. We have work. Naruto met Caulifla's eyes. Guess that's the invitation. She flashed a tired but fierce grin. Better come with real coffee. The shop settled into a rare hush. Outside, searchlights idled, no alerts blared. For a sliver of night, quiet felt less brittle, as though corners of a gold-painted cage had been pried open and something bright was slipping free. Morning haze drifted through the colonnades of Sadala's palace, softening the austerity of bronze pillars and polished stone. The broad reception hall that was typically reserved for seasonal audiences had been stripped of ceremony. No musicians, no silk banners. Purpose trumped pageantry today. At precisely third bell, the east doors swung open. Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale stepped inside under escort. Their boots clicked on veined marble, echoing up to vaulted arches. They wore no formal dress. Dust still clung to Caulifla's jacket sleeve, and a fresh bandage cut across Naruto's forearm where Jaspara's blade had nicked him. On the dais stood King Sadala. Beside him waited 3 silent ministers and the captain of the royal guard. Conspicuously absent, General Jaspara. His crest had been removed from the hall's honor wall overnight. Only a pale rectangle marked where the plaque once hung. The king motioned them forward. No trumpet, no proclamation, only the quiet scrape of metal greaves as he descended 2 steps to meet them eye level. I will not rehearse yesterday, he said, voice pitched for the intimate hall. The realm saw everything. You safeguarded my flagship, my life, and by extension, our legitimacy. For that you have my thanks. A measured pause. But gratitude alone cannot mend a fracture. The crown needs eyes and hands that answer to no single general envoys who travel wide, speak plainly, and act when action is required. He raised a small case. Inside lay 3 polished insignia, silver discs ringed by faint blue light, blank but for a swirl pattern reminiscent of planetary orbits. Take these, the king continued. They carry my voice. Where you go, you speak for the throne until you prove I should take them back. Caulifla accepted the disc first. Its weight surprised her. She offered a half smirk. You sure about this, your majesty? I'm allergic to curtsies. Good, the king replied, faint humor in his eye. Curtsies seldom stop riots. Kale received hers with a shy nod. Naruto took the last, thumb brushing its cool surface. He met the monarch's gaze. No lengthy pledge, just a silent understanding that this compact cut both ways. Formality ended there. The king dismissed ministers and guards with a gesture, leaving only the 4 of them and a soft-stepping clerk who sealed the case. There is another matter, Sadala said, voice dropping. Jaspara is en route to the outer arm. Ship logs claim voluntary exile, but my scouts report he departed with 3 corvettes, ammunition unaccounted for, and a cadre of officers who share his views. Caulifla clicked her tongue. Took the rust with him. Rust corrodes even in exile, the king said. Track him if opportunity comes, but Carnifex remains priority. Their assembly expects treaty terms by week's end. Kale cleared her throat. Sir, the public mood still teeters. If negotiations falter, Jaspara's supporters on Sadala could stir unrest. That is why you carry my voice, Sadala answered. Truth delivered early beats rumors spread late. He inclined his head, a dismissal without fuss. As they turned to leave, he added softly, "Guard our legacy." Simple words, yet heavier than steel. They exited into a sunlit arcade overlooking the city. Courtiers lining the walls offered cautious bows, respect tinged with curiosity. The trio kept moving. Caulifla flipped her envoy badge between fingers. "Never thought I'd wear crown jewelry." Naruto strapped his disc to a wrist mount. "Think of it as a travel pass that keeps checkpoints polite." "Or gives them a bigger target," Kale murmured. Caulifla flashed a grin. "Targets make aiming easier, for us." They descended a spiral stair to the palace motor court, where a sleek courier ship awaited, a gift from the throne. Matte charcoal panels, modest cannon ports, and a drive core tuned for long hops without warps. A Navy mechanic briefed them, call sign Wayfarer. Holds 6, drinks half the fuel of standard cutters. Caulifla ran a palm along the hull. Needs flames painted on. After the first mission, Naruto said. By mid-afternoon, every public plaza holoscreen replayed a split image, Jispara's sabotage freeze frame on the left, the king handing envoy insignia on the right. Comment threads exploded. Finally, action over slogans. Mercy warriors? I could follow that. Watch the throne gift rebels badges, next they'll pardon smugglers. In one market, a fruit vendor clapped as Caulifla's recorded image bowed to take the disc. In another, a retired colonel scowled, predicting soft policy would invite raiders. Naruto watched passers-by react while stalking the Wayfarer's galley. Sentiment split, but the mere fact that it was a public debate spoke volumes. Jispara's era of unchallenged obedience had cracked. Light years away, in a dim docking bay on a half-built space station, Jispara surveyed a motley assembly: disgruntled fleet officers, fringe clan mercenaries, a handful of ex-pirates who'd painted scion armor black to hide old insignia. Cargo crates of munitions piled behind makeshift blast shields. A young lieutenant reported, "Our scouting corvette tailed a Carnifex envoy vessel personal to the crown will arrive in 3 days. They intend to sign amnesty." Jispara's jaw flexed. Then Mercy has a timetable. He stepped onto a crate, addressing the mixed crowd in clipped phrases. King trades deterrence for compassion. Compassion weakens realm edges. We hold the outer edge. We pinch it. Show collapse before Mercy paints over rot. Grumbles, nods. Mercenaries smelled payment. Disgraced officers tasted relevance. Jispara's plan was simple: hijack the amnesty convoy, blame frontier brigands, prove blockade necessary. He raised one hand, palm outward, the scion gesture for vow. "Hold the line," he said. They echoed. Back on Sadala, the machine shop buzzed with envoy prep. Reagan and Jax loaded sensor drones, Sola checked medkits. Kale plotted a spiral route, Sadala orbital fueling node debris field slingshot Carnifex Lagrange. 2 hops, no military lanes. Naruto compared her course to fleet tracking grids. Cleaner than a priest's laundry. Caulifla tossed flight gloves onto the NAV console. If Jispara's lackeys tail us, we'll shake 'em in the debris field. She glanced at Naruto's wrapped arm. "How's the slice?" He flexed. "Stings less than leadership." "You're finally admitting leadership stings?" "Worse than sword cuts." Kale pretended to focus on her charts, hiding a smile. At first light, the Wayfarer cleared Sadala orbit. Palace traffic control logged them as diplomatic channel priority route, but still sotto voce, no escort. Within minutes, a lone fleet corvette detached from a maintenance cradle, lights dimmed, vector matching Wayfarer's slipstream. Its ID transponder cycled random codes too disciplined for pirates. On Wayfarer's rear screen, Naruto highlighted the spec in red. "Shadowtail," he noted. "Probably wanna eavesdrop." Caulifla slouched in the pilot chair. "Good. Let them follow us someplace confusing. They angled toward the debris field, an old mining belt of ice and shattered hull plates. Kale dimmed the NAV lights. Clusters of scrap parted around them like slow schools of fish. The tail held distance until magnetic anomalies glitched its sensors. Then it closed, too quickly. Engine flare flared bright on tactical. Naruto tapped the console. Here we go. Two spikes burst from the corvette's underbelly, tethered drones dragging ion nets. The plan: disable Wayfarer's drives and board. Caulifla's grin turned feral. She rolled the ship 90 degrees, nosedived between tumbling girders. Nets sliced empty vacuum. Reagan launched a sensor pod. It slammed into a junk shard and erupted in chaff. The corvette's targeting painted ghosts, its captain overcorrected, scraping a rusted freighter carcass. Sparks bloomed. Caulifla toggled open comms. Better luck fishing planetary lakes, friend. The corvette fired a pot shot. Kale jerked as energy splashed shields. That was live. Naruto keyed a tight beam. Scion Navy vessel tailing on the craft. Identify or disengage. There was no answer, just another net volley. Caulifla banked hard. The net snagged an asteroid chunk, yanking the corvette sideways. Secondary explosions rattled its hull. Lights flickered, engines sputtered. Kale caught a short-range burst. Hold line, for the general. Then silence. They watched the crippled corvette drift, unable to pursue. Jasparas, Caulifla said. He's moving pieces fast, Naruto agreed. By dusk cycle, Carnifex's dusty sphere filled the viewport. Relief freighters orbited in slow stacks, waiting for clearance. The blockade skeleton remained, but their traffic cones pulsed green. The Crown's pause order had reached them. Kale hailed Planet Port Authority. A tired voice replied, but excitement edged it. Envoy's clear direct approach, Pad 7. Below, lines of settlers stretched along landing rails, word spreading that the food convoy returned with royal sanction. Caulifla set Wayfarer down. When the ramp opened, dry wind carried mixed scents of clay and frying grain. Children crowded first, then elders. Unlike last visit, tension had thinned. Hope hummed. A Carnifex assemblywoman approached, the same woman Kale had given vitamins 2 days ago. She folded her hands in formal greeting. You risked much? We are ready to sign the accord, but some elders fear fleet reprisals if Gizpara still commands shadow ships. Naruto handed her a sealed data rod. Flagship logs show the king's orders to demobilize. Broadcasted on your net, let folks know block pressure broke. Caulifla scanned the crowd. We'll stick around till the pen hits paper. 3 hours later, with dusk purple painting the mesas, assembly leaders gathered in a dome built from repurposed cargo crates. Negotiations unfolded quietly, tax schedule deferred, supply corridor guaranteed, blockade officially lifted. Outside, settlers cooked communal stews. Amnesty ceremony minutes from signing, the domed roof boomed. Sirens wailed. Naruto raced outside. Streaks of plasma hammered the horizon. A trio of strike craft dove low, hurling warning shots that scorched empty farmland. Dust geysers erupted. Reagan called from calm, unmarked fighters who are not core. They came out of nowhere. Caulifla's scouter highlighted the lead fighter's emission code identical to the corvette's. Gizpara crashing the party. Kale stayed with assembly leaders, calming panic. Naruto and Caulifla sprinted to the Wayfarer. Engines hot, they vectored skyward. Strike craft peeled off, firing cursory bursts, then climbing, baiting pursuit. They want us off the ground, Naruto realized. Split? Caulifla asked. Split, he confirmed. She kept helm. Naruto dropped into the cargo bay, popped a side hatch mid-atmosphere, leaped out with a short-range flight pack darting back toward the planet, hugging low canyons toward the strike craft staging blips he'd glimpsed, a lander nestled in a dry riverbed. Air hulled past, thrusters flared. The canyon floor rushed up, mottled red in dusk light. He tucked, rolled, landed in a sliding skid, throwing dust. Ahead, 2 technicians reloaded a fighter's mag cannon. They spun at the sudden arrival. Naruto's roundhouse disarmed the first, dropped the second. He palmed a detonator from the supply rack, lobbed it into the lander's open bay, and vaulted behind a ridge. A concussive bloom. Fighters overhead, suddenly starved of remote comms, wobbled. One clipped terrain and spiraled, the others fled atmosphere. Above, Caulifla's wayfarer herded them outward, then peeled back. When she saw rising smoke, her laugh crackled the calm show-off. Naruto's breath came ragged. Cats lose claws when you boot the litter box. He rocketed skyward, rendezvoused with wayfarer. As they descended, emergency sirens silenced. Settlers cheered along landing rails again, louder now. Night inside the cargo dome smelled of recycled air and citrus wax from fresh documents. Assembly elders, still shaken, gathered at a folding table. King Sadala's digital seal glowed on the tablet screen. One by one, signatories tapped their fingerprints, Carnifex rejoining the realm under amnesty provisions. Caulifla watched from the back, arms folded. Kale stood beside her, relief softening tension lines around her eyes. Naruto handed the final stylus to the assemblywoman. Fastest way to stop cannons is signing faster than they can reload. The woman offered a tired smile. Your mercy reached us before their fear. Beyond Carnifex orbit, Jaspara's remaining corvettes regrouped. He'd watched strike craft feed cut off mid-attack, brow furrowing at the sudden static. When confirmation came of lander loss, he folded arms without comment, signaled withdrawal coordinates. Loyal captains obeyed. He stood on his bridge, cracks of golden starlight flickering across scarred armor, gaze fixed on the shrinking planet. His aide ventured, "Sir, next step?" Jaspara's voice was a low iron bar. "We gather. We sharpen." The aide swallowed, nodded. Engines burned. The small fleet vanished into hyperslip toward the lawless rim. Back in Carnifex capital, dawn crept. Naruto, Caulifla, and Kale leaned on a council hall balcony, mugs of thick, bitter chicory substitute steaming in chill air. Below, settlers dismantled makeshift barricades. Children chased each other between supply crates newly unloaded from relief ships. Distant cannons of the 7th Fleet idled in station keeping, no longer aimed at farmland. Kale exhaled a soft laugh. Mercy might actually be faster. Naruto clinked his mug against hers. And cheaper. Caulifla sipped, grimaced. Still tastes like mud. But victory's sweet enough. They didn't need speeches about new titles or looming threats. Badge discs glinted at their collars, silent proof of trust earned. Far out on the rim, Jaspara plotted vengeance, but that battle waited for another dawn. For now, the balcony breeze smelled of dust, stew, and beginnings, exactly the scent of a realm deciding mercy could hold its own against fear. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.